Far Beyond the World. This is a new VN, not just for the channel, but it's fairly new altogether. We're just playing the second build, which is just tweaking a few things from the original first build. And I'll put all the details down in the description. You can support on Patreon, follow on Twitter, follow on Itch, all that kind of fun stuff. So for now, I'm not going to tell you anything more about this. Let's just start it up. Complete nothingness. I feel as nothing existed before this moment. No memories of anything other than this utter void. I don't know how long I've been here. Time seems to stretch into eternity. The rhythmic thumping that accompanies me starts to fade away. I somehow know it's the sound of my very own heart being silenced, as if death embraced me. Is this what death feels like? How can I be dead if I haven't even lived? I cannot feel anything, summon any emotion. It's just me and this thorough nothingness. Finally, silence envelops me, but it is not death. Whatever's happening, it does not offer me release from this empty awareness. Suddenly I hear hundreds of whispers, one voice really, but boundless and out of time. It folds onto itself, forming an incoherent chatter. The language sounds so foreign, yet it speaks to my very core. Bits and pieces flood my mind like a tidal wave. Among the onslaught of chaos, I sift through these strange words, failing to find anything intelligible. Excruciating pain surges through my mind like a blunt force to the head. The key! I want to scream in agony as my entire being is set aflame by those words. Then the black canvas pulls over my eyes. I can see the darkness now, cold and pitch black. Black stone! Another surge fills my mind with painful awareness. I know what stones are, what earth is. This void is not native to me. I come from a world beyond this nothingness. I am trapped here. You and I suffer another torment. I feel myself materialize in the abyss, my body becoming the edge of existence. I'm no longer floating in nothingness. Instead, I'm immobile, restrained, and left in the dark. I must break free. This isn't right. This isn't right. Wake up. The whispers intensify as if urging me on. Am I dreaming? Is this a nightmare? Wake up! Their anger rises and the command is harder to ignore through the agony caused by each word. I want to wake up, I do. Wake up! The light rushes into my eyes if I'm stricken by lightning. I know what lightning is. I can picture it crackle across the stormy sky. I'm sure I've seen a storm before, with flashes so bright that for a split second everything turns white. Pretty much like now. I'm forced to squint so my vision doesn't adjust. Everything is so blurry and white. I could have sworn I'm staring into the sun. Sun. I can almost recall its warmth. I'm certain I belong here, in this world. The void that held me moments ago slowly fades into my memory. It was just a dream, and now that I'm awake, I will return to my normal life, whatever that may be. Despite trying my hardest, I cannot remember anything concrete about my past. The pain in my eyes lingers, and I want to shield myself from the glare. However, my body is numb. I try to raise my hand and bring it over my head, but it only flops in place. My heart speeds up at a horrid realization. I cannot move. I try to speak, but it only comes out as a mumble as I struggle against my limp body. Am I paralyzed? My fingers twitch as I concentrate on them, tapping at the soft mattress beneath me. No, I'm just frozen. I can feel that I woke up from a long, deep sleep and my body just now started thawing. Somehow I managed to use my lifeless hand as a pendulum to flip myself to the left side. I arched my back, crawling like a snake in the bed trying to get to the edge. Finally my eyes adjust and I can see the room. Raising my head is a challenge, but eventually I manage to have a proper look around. I can see the door in front of me. There's only one window, yet it has a wide, cluttered ledge and lets in the light of an early afternoon. There isn't much in the way of furniture, just a wooden chest next to the door, a cupboard to the left, and a large wardrobe next to the window. I can't help but notice how dirty everything is, with cobwebs in every corner and dust filling the air. Despite my memory loss, I'm sure of one thing. This isn't my room. This is not my home. Where the hell am I? I struggle a bit further, still very much numb, although I can feel life returning to my limbs. I push myself over the edge, which I fast realise was a mistake as I fall hard to the wooden floor with a loud thud. I almost pass out to the force with which my head slams the boards, but the cold of the ground instantly seeps through my naked skin, bringing me back to my senses. I try to collect myself from the floor, pushing hard with both hands, but it feels as if I'm lifting a boulder. All I manage to do is sit up in a groggy fashion, noticing my naked upper body. At least my lower part is covered by what I think is a loincloth, which is strange, to say the least. There's the sound of heavy footsteps approaching from the adjacent room. I gaze at the doors anxiously, expecting some sort of a familiar face coming to my aid. Maybe I'm away with family, even though I can't remember who my family are. Everything feels so strange and out of place. The door cracks open. My wishful thinking is snuffed out by a large wolf creature entering the room. He's covered in thick black fur, standing upright on his hind legs, with a torso chiseled like a marble statue. For a split second my attention drifts to a round black stone resting on his chest, filling me with an odd sense of dread. However, that's quickly replaced by a more rational fear, as I shiver at the sight of the wolf's clawed paws tensing up in anticipation. The beast snarls, gazing at me with his wild red eyes, almost as if looking right through me, and I can't help but stare back at his massive snout filled with jagged fangs. My fucking luck! I told him not to leave me alone! I don't even register that he speaks, feeling weakness overtake me. I must be dreaming. This is a nightmare. Finally I win the inner battle and I manage to regain control of my frozen body. I throw myself up against the cupboard, climbing it like a cliff. Instinctively I pull out a drawer, hastily rummaging through its contents to find anything I can use to defend myself. Amongst the clothes and trinkets I grasp something with a hard handle and pull it out, holding it tight in front of me with both hands. What are you doing? The wolf regards my weapon with mild contempt. It's a wooden comb. Despite how foolish I look, I still hold it out in front of me, jabbing it at the air to make the beast aware I mean business. Before I can react, he's already on me, one paw grabbing my neck and pushing me hard against the wall. My head bounces off it like a ball and I nearly drop my only weapon. That's when his massive paw squeezes my left wrist, the pressure he applies to my bones taking the floor from underneath me. My legs are noodles and I simply hang from his hold. Let it go! He reiterates through his fangs, snarling straight into my face. I tear up as he squeezes harder, almost to the breaking point. Without a choice, I let the comb go and it flops to the floor. The next thing I know, I've been swung onto the bed like a rag doll, my weight meaning nothing to the beast. I bounce off the bedding, scraping my shin bone on the wooden frame. The pain jolts to my head and I gasp, quickly grabbing my leg and pulling it close to myself. Fuck, it hurts. It almost makes me forget about the still throbbing wrist. Now stay there if you know what's good for you. I'll be back in a moment. The wolf huffs at me in annoyance and hastily leaves the room, closing the doors behind him. What the fuck is going on? Why can't I wake up? I lie there in bed, huddled in pain and crying, desperately trying to end this nightmare with no success. The pain lessens and my panic slowly switches me from fight to flight mode. I need to escape. I can hear the beast rummaging in the next room, clearly looking for something. I look towards the window and realise I don't want to find out what he's looking for. His current preoccupation is my best chance to get out of here. I try to step off the bed as quietly as I can. Tiptoeing, I move closer and closer towards the only route of escape. I freeze up as one of the boards creaks, almost as if on cue. My eyes trail to the doors and I weigh my options. Instincts overtake me and I jolt to the ledge, immediately locating the latch lock in the window, but I cannot open it because of all the clutter. In panic, I begin brushing everything off with complete abandon, racket echoing across the empty room. I can see the forest in front of me, freedom just within my reach. Help! Help! I yell out as I hear the beast storm in, the doors flying open with a bang. What the fuck? Somebody help me! Not even a second later, the entire world turns as if I were on a merry-go-round. My stomach moves up to my throat and I fly across the room with the force of the spin. I gasp, my back strikes the bed again. Despite the padding, it's a very rough landing, but before I even register the world of pain my entire body is in, I see the black shadow swoop above me. The entire bed shakes as the beast lands on top of me, his powerful paws flanking me on both sides. He presses his snarling muzzle into my cheek, forcing my face to one side and pressing it deeper into the bedding. I guess we have to do it the hard way. My eyes well up as I feel him dribble onto my neck with each hot puff of air. Please, somebody! He cuts me off with his paw, pressing it hard to my mouth. I continue my muffled shout as I cry in horror. Wake up! Why can't I wake up? Shut up or I'll rip your fucking throat out! The beast growls, grabbing my neck with his other paw, the weight of his upper body now fully pressing down on me. He's squeezing my windpipe shut without even trying. I want to gouge his eyes to throw him off, but I'm unable to reach his muzzle of the bulging muscle of his arms and shoulders. I clamp my eyes shut as my body begins to convulse, partly due to his steed, but mainly because I'm desperately trying to draw air. Finally, my hands go limp and fall lifelessly to the bed, ending my pathetic defense. I'll die here. I don't want to die. My muffled screams begin to fade as the agonizing pain fills my empty lungs. Shut up! He pushes harder, increasing my desperate tremors. My body becomes unresponsive and I lose any sense of self. I can hear his angered growl hush above me just as everything begins to fade. I slowly return to the darkness, again accompanied only by my beating heart. My mind stirs with a slight discomfort stretching across my entire body. My mouth is dry and there's tension in my joints. I now realize my arms are twisted behind my back, arching upwards in an uncomfortable way. I feel as if something unpleasant was stuck at the back of my throat. Did I fall asleep like this? I'm not sure what happened. I think I was having a bad dream, something about a werewolf in a cabin in the woods. I seem to be having a lot of night terrors lately, and I'm glad I can finally wake up. As I open my eyes, it's clear that the nightmare isn't over yet. It's the same dingy little room with a small window, black fur and fangs flashing through my mind. Oh no. The savage attack was not a dream. I try to jump up, but my hands and ankles are tied together a length of rope, bounding me like a parcel. I can't roll to either side without dislocating my shoulder. There's no breaking free from this. When I try to speak, I realise I'm gagged with the dirty cloth, which explains the dryness and a weird, briny aftertaste. I look around the room, trying to jog any memory of this place. Was I kidnapped? Is this some sort of messed up prank? I try to rationalise my situation. However, the more I think about it, the more cold sweats stop my body. Why can't I remember anything else than this cabin? Is anyone even looking for me? I can hear someone in the other room, heavy footsteps pacing impatiently back and forth. I gaze at the door with dread, almost certain it's the same beast that just attacked me. Then I hear someone else enter the cabin. Finally, what took you so long? The cold voice confirms my suspicion. It's that brute. Well, I had to avoid my father all day. He only just left. The hunt should buy us time at least until the morning. How's the human? Peachy. I frown at the comment. Peachy indeed. What do you mean? He's awake? I'll see for yourself. There's a rush of padding toward the door, and I panic as a massive grey wolf enters the room. He's dressed in some sort of medieval armour, a green cloak falling from his shoulders. Initially he has an excited expression, but immediately sours at my predicament. He throws an angry gaze towards the black male who tied me up.
What the hell did you do to him? Humans should have been tied up to begin with. He tried to escape.
When I see that brute, I want to scream, to run away, but all I can do is wiggle and mumble. The grey wolf approaches me, looking down carefully over my body.
Are those choke marks? He's all bruised. I saved our pelts, you idiot.
My eyes open wide at the creatures arguing at the foot of the bed. Seeing one of those wolves was bad enough, but seeing them both sends a chill down my spine. All I can do is stare, motionless. They are both enormous, much taller than what I consider natural, with broad shoulders making the entire posture more than intimidating. And that's without accounting for all the fangs and claws. I'm terrified. I avoid looking directly at them, where a shadow moves in the corner of my eye. The grey wolf is approaching me slowly, paw extended towards my face.
Help! Someone help me!
I try to call out, but all I accomplish are muffled whines through the gag. My crushed windpipe feels as if I've swallowed a stone, a painful lump stuck halfway down my throat thanks to that monster. Shh. The grey wolf tries to shush me, but I continue to yelp despite how much it hurts.
Help! I want to wake up!
Please, be quiet. His soft pleading almost causes me to stop, but I can hear a deep growl behind him.
Let's fucking kill it before everyone hears this.
And just like that, the most instinctual cry comes to me, the one I always fall upon in a seemingly unending nightmare. Mom! Mommy! This is a bad dream. It has to be.
Oh, stop snarling, you're making it worse.
The grey wolf snaps at the companion and gets onto the bed, its chest hovering right above me. Being exposed like this makes me shout out even more, however his massive paw gently presses down on my face. Though he's trying to silence me, this wolf is going about it differently than the previous one. His other paw reaches behind my head, holding me securely and gently ruffling my hair. Shh. His greenish eyes plead with mine, and I find his expression and demeanour almost soothing. Please, calm down. I notice he begins to match his breath with mine, his massive chest expanding in the same rhythm. He's guiding me down from the edge of panic, and for whatever reason I follow. All I want is to feel safe, and somehow he manages to make me feel just that. Slowly I let down my fight, my muffled voice getting fainter and fainter. That's right. He encourages me. Nothing's going to happen to you, I promise. I'm going to let you go, but you have to stop screaming. I look at him wide-eyed. He speaks slowly at me, enunciating every word in an odd fashion. If anyone finds out you're here... He gestures with a clawed finger towards his neck, making an unmistakable slit mark. I guess he means I would be killed. Do you understand? I don't, but I'm in no position to inquire further, so I simply close my eyes and take a deep breath. Good. It's okay. His voice is oddly comforting, as if I've heard it before. Oh, let me fix this. My mind tells me to run, however my body is powerless. I must trust him, there's no other choice. Besides, if he wanted to hurt me, he'd have done so already. He moves the paw from my face, his furry fingers brushing the cloth fastened around it. I can see his claws carefully prick at the rim. I'll take this off, but you must promise me that you won't scream. My eyes tear up as I watch his massive jaw open in the rhythm of his words. I think it only now sinks in that those beasts indeed talk.
You can't be serious.
The brute protests, looking at me with murderous gaze, but the grey wolf ignores him. He looks expectantly at me, bringing a finger to his lips to emphasize I need to stay quiet. Okay? I nod, closing my eyes. As he removes the cloth, pulling the bundle out of my mouth, I gasp in relief, tears flowing down my cheeks freely. When I try to catch my breath, the grey wolf inspects the material with which I was gagged, looking back at his companion with a disgusted expression.
Is this my... Had to improvise.
The black wolf shrugs. I can't even contemplate the implications, and my mind begins to spin out of control. What the fuck is going on? I ask myself in a pitiful squeak. The grey wolf looks to his companion.
What language is that? Vanna or Freya?
How should I know? I don't speak human. What are they talking about? I understand them perfectly.
Oh, great. How are we going to explain this to him after you brutalized the kid?
I've been gentle. Explain what? I ask them without even thinking what I'm doing. I notice both males look at me wide-eyed as they've seen a ghost. For the first time, the black wolf shows an expression other than scorn. What is going on? The wolves briefly exchange gazes, looking back at me with the same surprise in their eyes.
What?
It speaks.
It might be just a few words.
The grey wolf shakes his head, looking at me for confirmation.
Right?
I don't respond. My thoughts are spinning in complete confusion, and the grey wolf simply points to my legs.
Well, let's get you untied, huh?
I won't do that. I ignore the brute and hastily nod to the grey wolf, desperately wanting to get out of this awkward position.
I need him to trust us. How can he do that when he's tied up like a prisoner?
He works his fingers around the knot, cursing under his breath.
Fuck, did you have to make it this tight?
The other wolf only shrugs. I can't see much, but I feel the sting in a bruised skin as the rope finally loosens up.
There we go.
My legs stretch out almost on their own accord, the tension in my knees finally letting up. I sigh in relief. I didn't think it was possible to feel so good just stretching out like this.
Right, I need to turn you on your back.
He circles the air with his finger, letting me know what he intends to do. I just nod.
Please don't do anything.
Stupid. What could I possibly do with two monsters hulking over me? I allow myself to be rolled over, and I feel as the grey wolf walks onto the bed and mounts my back. His voice is tinged with embarrassment as I grunt under his weight.
Sorry, just a precaution.
He squats on my butt, his muscular legs to either side of my torso squeezing slightly to hold me fast. I guess he does not trust me to stay still. It takes him a while to undo the knot, but when he's finally done, I feel the blood rush to my hands. I try to push myself up, to force some life into my numb limbs, but I feel a giant paw pressing against my naked back with leathery pads.
Don't make me regret this.
He whispers the words into my ear, and his cautious tone completely throws me off. I'm not the dangerous one here. Not wanting to startle him, I stay until he gets off me, turning back to face him only when I feel his weight disappear. His paw slides off my back, but he keeps hovering above me, his form dwarfing mine. I'm calm enough to finally have a proper look at him. His fur is grey, but with a slight brown tint to it. I rub my stinging wrists, tracing the red marks where the ropes held me. I do that more of contemplation than actual pain. Everything is so confused and absurd, yet feels real.
Are you okay?
Am I? I adjust myself in bed, trying to rise slightly so the wolfman doesn't hover above me in such an awkward fashion. His eyes are kind and show a caring person behind the mask of a wild beast, a stark contrast to his musculature and burly build. Not to mention his black companion. I am sitting in this strange room surrounded by talking wolves. If this is not a dream, then I must be insane.
Seriously, you did a number on the poor kid.
The grey wolf eyes out my neck, causing me to immediately touch it. I wince in pain, drawing air through my teeth. My throat still hurts and clearly doesn't want to be touched.
Gaining his trust will take a fucking miracle now.
He throws an angry stare to the black male who simply raises a brow.
His trust? What about us? He could be dangerous. Don't be ridiculous. He's tiny and obviously frightened. How dangerous could he possibly be?
I'm not sure I'm frightened anymore. My emotions are running riot. I have no idea what I actually feel now. I just sit there, unsure what to do. The grey wolf's demeanour is quite disarming. His kind eyes and soothing voice allow me to calm the torrent in my head ever so slightly. Between him and the black brute, he generally doesn't seem to wish me harm. I resume rubbing my wrists, and the grey wolf notices that, his big paw reaching out to them. As he's about to touch me, I clasp his paw with both hands and bring it close to my face so I can have a better look. It is soft to the touch, the fur kempt and having a vague scent of the forest. I turn the paw to reveal its underside, with 6 distinct leathery pads. They are dark brown and surprisingly supple, more akin to skin than what I initially thought. I trace my finger from his palm up to the dull tip of his middle claw. This is so surreal. Before I let go of his paw, I ruffle the fur around his wrist, trying to find where there might be some sort of partition in the costume. I find nothing, gazing at the muzzle of the wolf, dumbfounded. Why do you even think it's a costume? I can't help myself but reach out and touch his chest. Despite the fur, I can clearly see defined muscles. I carefully brush away a round necklace. Its stone is white, but otherwise it looks similar to the one the black wolf wears. I sink my fingers into the fur, and am immediately met with a contrasting sensation, the softness of the coat and the rock-hard pecs beneath it. His chest expands heavily with each breath, while I move my hand from one breast to the other, completely mesmerized. He's so warm. I can't believe my senses. This can't possibly be real. He clears his throat, looking as confused as I am. My eyes and hands drift to his snout, but I stop short from touching him. He looks at me with slight surprise, but as he notices my hesitation, he pushes his muzzle into my open palm. His nose is wet and warm, like I'd expect a wolf's nose to be.
What are you doing? Don't let...
I want him to feel at ease. The grey wolf extends his paw towards his companion in a calming manner, letting him know to leave me be. I'm completely lost in my own thoughts, as my hand wanders the length of his muzzle, all the way to his cheeks. I groom his side fluff, realizing how soft and pleasant the grey fur is. As I caress his face, he rests his head into my hands, looking almost cute and innocent. I hear a soft thumping of his tail against the bed. He's enjoying my attention, but I'm not really petting him. I'm simply trying to convince myself that he's not an illusion. Finally, I venture lower to his mouth, fueled by this exploring frenzy. I almost touch his lips when I hear a soft growl from the black wolf.
Careful now. He used to chew on his toys.
I blink, pulling my hand back. What am I doing? I was about to foolishly stick my fingers into a wolf's maw. I grimace in discomfort, but the grey male simply smiles at me. Any thought of harm quickly disappears from my mind, but another troubling realization takes its place. He's real. You're a wolf. I try to keep a straight face as I say those ridiculous words.
Yes, and you're a human.
He touches my shoulder with his paw, his words still annoyingly slow and steady. I finally realize what it is that bothers me about it. He talks to me as if I were either stupid or a child. And since I'm not a child, feeling patronized, I finally snap out of the stupor and brush his paw away. Where the hell am I? Who are you people? The two wolves exchange confused looks, this time both their expressions turning.
Well, that's more than just a few words.
The brute is clearly upset that I can speak, and it only fuels my frustration.
Can you understand us?
Yes, of course I can. What is this place?
This is my home.
Why am I here? Did you kidnap me?
Oh, what? No! I found you. How did it learn our language? There's not a hint of accent. It's as if it was born and raised here.
The black wolf's inquisition to my linguistic skills finally pissed me off. What are you talking about? I'm not speaking your language. You were speaking mine.
You were raised speaking Wolven.
Yeah, right. Someone shaved his ugliest pup and abandoned it in the woods. Speak Wolven? As in what? Growling and howling? I'm so confused. I cannot hear this Wolven language they insist I'm using. I don't know what you two are talking about. This is my language. Always has been.
You're either a spy or a fucking lunatic.
I'm neither, you dumb beast. I spit out in anger, causing the black wolf to snarl viciously, its fur bristling. I quickly regret doing that as I can see the black monster tense up, ready to give me another thrashing.
Oh, shut up, both of you.
The grey wolf looks back to me with slight annoyance.
I thought you said you can understand us. So which part of being killed, if discovered, didn't you get?
He gives me a stern look and I cool down a bit. Talking back to either of them is not the best idea.
We need to keep quiet.
Why? What's going on?
You shouldn't be here. Well, I'll explain everything, but for the time being, please trust me.
That feels like a stretch. However, I don't seem to have any other options. Okay, fine. I concede through a sigh. I don't understand anything that's going on here.
How are you speaking our language?
This language is what I know, what I've always known.
Well, I heard you speak something else, though. I don't know what you said, but it wasn't Wolven.
Well, what? No, that's not right. I don't remember speaking or thinking in any other language.
I really need you to help me out here.
The grey wolf looks at me worried, hastily sitting down on the bed and reaching for my hand. I flinch, startled by the beast's movements and proximity, managing to retreat my hand before the paw lands on it. I cradle it near my chest, making the wolf aware I'm not okay with him touching me. I may be a little hypocritical considering I took full liberty in touching him, but that thought quickly disappears with another bizarre question.
Do you speak Targaryen, perhaps?
Targaryen? I scoff, almost mocking the grey wolf. As in tigers? You're saying there's talking tigers out there? The wolf's eyes wander off in annoyance if he wants me to just make my jaded point already. What else? Elephants? Ooh, I bet their language is, what? Elephantine? I finally lose it and am able to contain a chuckle.
The human is fluent in our language and even cracks jokes. Well, this whole mess just went from bad to worse. What are we going to do now?
Well, I don't know. My thoughts begin to wander off to the world outside of this room. Where the hell am I?
That's exactly my point. You never think these things through. Your father will. He doesn't have to know. Have you also gone mad? Is that thing contagious? Well, at least for now, let's keep my father out of it. I need to find a way to present this in the least controversial way. How do you want to do that? Roll the human in honey and cover him with fur?
What are they even talking about?
Well, obviously not. No? Well, that's a relief, because it's not crazy and smuggling the human here in the first place. I don't know why I allowed you to rope me into this.
I just look between the two wolves arguing, still none the wiser. Can someone please explain to me what's going on? I find myself barking out in annoyance. The grey wolf looks at me surprised and then sighs.
Oh, I guess this is where we introduce ourselves.
He straightens up, pumping up his chest. It's clear he's trying to be presentable, as if it'll make any difference to me.
Don't. My name is Rannoch.
He speaks slowly, deepening his voice like some guys do when they try to impress.
And this is Volkol.
He notices my reluctant gaze towards the other wolf and laughs awkwardly, the self-important image dissipating almost immediately.
Oh, I don't mind him. Despite his demeanour, he's a good friend.
A friend? He almost killed me. I shout out, glaring at the black male with hatred in my eyes. I can still see him hovering above me, choking me until I pass out. Rannoch frantically shushes me, pushing his finger against his lips.
If I wanted you dead, you think you'd still be bitching about it, little piggy?
A soft growl follows the wolf's words, but he cuts it off as Rannoch gives him a stern look.
What he did was a bit harsh, but in truth he saved your life.
What are you talking about? He nearly choked the life out of me.
Well, if anyone would find you here, you would be killed.
His voice tries to convey the gravity of the situation, but I'm at a loss. You keep saying that, but don't explain why.
We don't allow other kin into our forest. Trespassing is forbidden and punishable by death.
What the hell are other kin?
You for one, little piggy. It is a term for any intelligent species other than your own. You're an otherkin to us, just as we are otherkin to you.
I shake my head slightly, trying to comprehend what he's saying. Hold on, you really mean there are more talking beasts out there?
Why, there's kidding, or there's something wrong with it.
You don't remember? The grey wolf looks at me pleadingly, as if asking to end whatever game I'm playing. I think I would remember living in a world inhabited by talking animals. Rannoch's brow narrows, showing he's taken offence at my comment.
We're as much talking animals as you are a talking chimp. I say it looks more like a talking piece of would-be ham.
Now I'm the one offended. Stop calling me it. I have a name.
Well, you didn't give it to us.
No, don't ask its name. Rannoch huffs with a cheeky smile, allowing one fang to perk out. He's making a good point and decided to ignore the Black Wolf's protests. It's... Wait, what is my name? Am I going to go with something who's actually mentioned in something else, but he doesn't actually appear? He's just a friend who is a ghost, effectively. So let's give this one his name. And nothing to do with the smoke room, but if you're wondering, it's something else. And just like that, it rolls off my tongue. Sam. It's strange to hear it out loud, but it also feels right.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, Sam, good. We're getting somewhere.
The grey wolf smiles, ruffling my hair. I considered swatting his paw away, but his kind expression convinces me to simply ignore his forwardness.
What we're getting is some very deep shit.
I flinch, seeing the Black Wolf look at me with his cold eyes.
We need to kill it.
I freeze, seeing that the wolf is not joking.
What?
Rannoch jumps up to his feet, shielding me with his body, his reaction pushing me further into paralysis.
We need to get rid of this freak before anyone else finds out. Sheltering another kin is one thing, but having it speak our language is deadly serious. We need to kill it. We are not doing that.
Rannoch raises his voice, causing me to wince. Their bodies tense up, and I can see their every muscle straining.
Rannoch, be reasonable. There's no way you can spin this. We can be banished. I don't care.
My heart skips a beat as I hear Rannoch issue a powerful snarl. I cannot see his expression, but I'm sure it mirrors that of the black male who bares his fangs in a vicious, almost feral way. Both wolves hold their paws close to their chest, with fingers feathered out in anticipation.
I cannot stand by when you're making the biggest mistake of your life. This is not a mistake. This is my destiny. Verissa.
Without a warning, Volgor rushes at my defender and they clash a few steps away from the bed, heads butting and paws interlocking.
Verissa huffs incense and eats hallucinogenic mushrooms. She's not speaking with her ancestors. You know that.
I cannot divert my gaze from this spectacle, partially because I'm frozen, but also because my life depends on the result. Half expect them to thrash about biting each other, but instead they stay locked like this.
What I know is that Mother Moon guided me to this human, just like Verissa said she would. She said you'd find your purpose. The ceremony is just a tradition. You are meant to reflect on life by observing falling leaves or sunset, not to break our sacred laws to a fucking human.
I hear their strained puffs as they wrestle with each other in place. Despite how vicious they sound, growling and snarling, I can see they're not really fighting, but rather trying to overpower one another.
The human spoke my name.
Rannoch struggles the words through a grunt as Volgor twists his paws back, forcing the grey wolf to one knee. He's losing.
Has it occurred to you that since the human speaks our language, he might simply have read it?
What is he even talking about? When have I read Rannoch's name? I've never heard it before in my life.
Oh, you are my moon brother. I don't want to fight you. That's exactly why I have to fight you. You're about to fuck up our entire lives.
Volgor's gaze drifts towards me, his red eyes piercing right through my flesh. He knows he'll soon have his way. Their laboured snarls and growls begin to send me over the edge. I know another panic attack is fast approaching. I close my eyes, huddling myself and slowly rocking back and forth like a traumatized child. I don't think anymore. I just want it all to stop.
Stop it, please!
Everything goes silent as I cry out through tears. Just stop!
Well, Sam!
The mattress jumps up as the wolf's weight lands on it. I open my eyes, see the grey wolf splayed out in front of me. Volgo must have used my cry as distraction to throw Rannoch back. I glare at the brute approaching us, and without even thinking I shield Rannoch with my own body. Please, don't fight over me. I don't understand what I've done wrong.
You've done nothing wrong.
I feel Rannoch embrace me as he pulls me to the side, covering me with his flank and reversing our positions. Now he's the one protecting me. Rannoch eyes the black male with wild determination, his muzzle twists in a warning snarl. Volgo stops, folding his arms and looking down at us with mild contempt as I stay in the grey wolf's embrace, clinging to his fur. I just want to be close to someone. Rannoch readjusts us slightly, sitting over the edge of the bed with me still pressed into his chest, my side resting in his lap.
For fuck's sake! I won't let you harm the human.
He hugs me tightly, issuing another protective growl. There's a moment of silence while I simply fall deeper and deeper into despair. Why is any of this happening to me?
Nothing's ever easy with you, is it?
Volgo makes a long, drawn-out sigh, as if releasing all the tension he's built up to this moment.
I'm not like you. I don't solve my problems through violence and killing. Pity, you should try it sometime.
Rannoch allows me another moment of warmth, but then gently pushes me away from his chest. I just sit there, not really present, watching as he clumsily gets back up to his feet. The wolves are now standing side by side, almost as if nothing really happened.
It's okay, we're done fighting.
He's trying to get me to compose myself, but I'm already far gone.
I'm sorry you had to see that. It's not exactly how I envisioned our introduction.
I don't understand what's going on. Why am I here and who are those monsters? Why can't I remember anything? Is this really the world I was born into? If so, why does it feel so alien? As if my instincts are telling me this is not home.
Sure,
it's okay. The grey wolf lowers himself to get closer, and I close my eyes, huddling tightly to the wall. My head throbs with a torrent of questions that slowly overwhelms me. I hug my knees, press them into my chest. The adrenaline rush pumped by my palpitating heart is the only reason why I don't break up in tears. Everything is just a blur, although I can still hear them, nothing really registered. Not consciously, at least.
His heart is fluttering like a startled bird in a cage. Unless it's my instincts.
I open my eyes, looking up at them as they stare me down intensely. It only empowers the erratic pounding in my chest. I can't breathe.
Yeah, there it is. An undeniable go for the throat feel.
The words stick out like a sore thumb, freezing me up in fear.
Shut up.
The kind wolf snorts at his friend and hunches next to me, leaning in closer. He's obviously trying to comfort me, but I can't help but notice his fangs poking out.
Humph, you feel it too, don't deny it. I can see you're all tensed up.
That statement makes me notice how Rannoch's fur is standing up ever so slightly, its body barely containing some subconscious exhilaration. I flinch away from his grey paw, but the wolf persists. I run to room to recede into as he gently takes hold of my chin and guides my gaze back towards his. I meet his docile smile with caution, the world still distorted by adrenaline haze.
Calm down.
No one's going to hurt you. I don't feel that's entirely true, recalling what the black wolf said just a moment ago. Go for the throat. I cut off, shielding my neck with a hand.
Don't listen to him. Your racing heart is just messing with our heads a little.
He admits with slight embarrassment as his paw touches my shoulder.
Just an uneasy feeling. Nothing we would lose control over. I'm more worried you're going to have a heart attack.
The grey wolf squeezes my shoulder slightly, as if trying to pull me back from my fit of terror. He then takes a long inhale, his nose close enough to draw strands of my hair in his direction. Breathe in. He holds his breath for a moment, and without realizing, I do as he instructs. And breathe out. I chuckle as a large huff of air brushes over me.
That's it.
My heart regains a bit of its rhythm. I'm unsure how I feel about these beastmen's ability to sense my heartbeat. For the moment it seems to allow Rannoch to guide me back from the panic attack. His gestures and words somehow match my pulse as he squeezes me gently with every thump inside my chest, almost as giving cues to my startled heart. Finally I'm back to normal, or at least a semblance of it. The wolf keeps a paw on my shoulder for a while longer, still squeezing in rhythm.
Welcome back.
He smiles again, certain I've calmed down. Only now does he let me go to face his comrade.
I know it's a lot to ask of you, but could you stop freaking him out?
Volgo grimaces, his arms still crossed as he drills his cold gaze into mine. I can't help but flinch at the sight of him eyeing me out. To me, he's fear incarnate.
I think it's too late for that. Look, I'll fix this.
Rannoch draws my gaze towards him as he points towards the white round necklace on his chest.
See this? These are our moonstones. Every wolf is given them at birth. They represent the phase of a lunar when we came to the world.
Full moon?
Yes.
He smiles.
I was born during the full moon, an auspicious sign for sure. So was he actually, just a few hours earlier, which makes us moon brothers.
I look at the similar necklace on Volgo's chest. His stone, however, is black. For some unknown reason, it keeps unsettling me ever since I first saw it. Black stone. I say it with a worried expression, almost as if repeating someone.
He was born during an eclipse, something we call dark moon. These necklaces are the most valuable possession we have.
What are you doing?
I'll explain to him the significance so that he can understand what I'm about to ask.
No. Whatever is being discussed is causing the black male a great deal of discomfort.
Wool, I want you to swear.
You're fucking insane. I won't do it. The black wolf snarls, causing me to shudder.
Swear on your moonstone that you won't harm Sam.
You want me to do that for a human?
I want you to do it for me, as your moon brother.
I dart my eyes between Rannoch's pleading expression and Volgo gritting his teeth. This request caused him a great deal of pain. I can see that clearly the wolf is not taking this lightly. Without warning, Volgo punches the wall next to the bed, causing me to yelp. The entire house shakes as the plaster cracks, bits and pieces of it fall into the ground.
It's his fucking bullshit.
I want to be on the receiving end of that punch. The strength of this beast made perfectly clear. He wasn't bluffing when he claimed he was being gentle with me. He could snap me like a twig.
Oh, please.
The black wolf's rattled breath fills the room for a few moments. The growl deep inside his chest begins to subside. Finally, he releases a long-drawn sigh and looks at Rannoch, fully composed. His red eyes drift to me and I can see his massive paw touch the rims of his black necklace.
On my moonstone, I swear I won't harm your little piglet. Thank you.
The grey wolf turns to face me with a smile.
See? He will never harm you again, you can be certain of it. He might be cynical and a bit rough around the edges, but he's the most honourable wolf I know.
I don't actually believe him. I could see that getting the promise out of the black wolf was not easy. Regardless, I'll still feel anxious around him. At least I know there's no immediate danger.
Your father will not swallow this lightly. We're looking at an exile. If my father hasn't banished me so far, I doubt this will make any difference. And if it does, I've had it long coming.
Sounds like Rannoch gets in trouble a lot. I'm not sure his self-awareness should be commended or not, considering he keeps causing more trouble. Then again, in this instance, I'm glad, as so far it seems he saved my life. Somehow.
Are you really willing to risk everything over this puny human? The spirits wanted me to find him.
I can see Volgo roll his eyes.
Now that we know he speaks our language, I am more certain of it than before.
He looks at me with a hopeful smile, his voice filled with conviction.
What would our ancestors even want with a human whelp?
Good question.
Well, I don't know, but all will be revealed in time.
I still don't understand how I fall into all this. You said that you found me. Where? How? Rannoch regards me with worry, uncertain if he should reveal it or not. That's when Volgo spares him the dilemma.
He found you in our forest, some distance from our village.
I nod to the black wolf in appreciation. You mentioned some sort of ceremony that sent you there. I looked to Rannoch expectantly.
It was my coming of age. I was to receive guidance from the ancestors to find my path. And the fool mistook you for it.
The black wolf sneers while Rannoch looks away, slightly embarrassed. What does that mean? The grey wolf seems troubled. It makes me think that his previous confidence was completely unfounded. However, he quickly looks back at me with a smile on his muzzle.
Well, don't worry about that now.
That's a non-answer.
Just know that our fates are intertwined. The spirits have charged me with protecting you. You speaking our language only proves that us crossing paths during my ceremony was not a coincidence.
For you, hardly anything is. Cynical as Volgo be, I can see his point. Rannoch is clearly into the idea of this whole mess being fated. Wherever his beliefs are, signs can always be misinterpreted. I'm not a path, whatever that means. I don't even know who I am. What could I possibly have to do with that wolf's fate? Am I really speaking here? I paused for a moment, still not understanding the implication. Your language? Am I barking and growling without even realizing? Have I gone completely mad? You really don't hear it? The black wolf's expression shows he finally starts to believe me. No, it's as natural to me as if I were born into it.
Surely you know your own language.
The grey wolf smiles awkwardly, almost as if begging me to really think about it. But this is my own language.
You must speak human, whatever dialect you call it back home.
This is human. I cut off, trying to really contextualize the words I'm using. Isn't it? Rannoch shakes his head.
You're confused, which is to be expected after what you've been through.
None of this makes any sense. Despite my mind being wiped clean, I know that talking beasts aren't normal. I know this isn't my home. A terrible feeling of being lost fills me and my heart sinks. I want to go home. Rannoch's ears perk up.
Fine, that's exactly where I intend to take you. Just tell me where it is, and once you've rested, we'll be on our way.
He smiles, and his tone tells me he generally means to do just that. But where is my home? I don't know. I don't remember. The answer clearly unsettles Rannoch as he frowns with worries. Nothing comes to me when I try to think about anything before waking up here. My mind is just one empty void. The more I try to explore it, the more uneasy I feel as something unpleasant lurked in the shadows. Finally, Volgo breaks the silence, looking at me intently. What were you doing in our woods? I don't know. I don't even remember being in the woods to begin with. Well, there's something you're not telling us. I've told you everything. Why can't you see that I'm the one in distress? Regardless of what trouble they claim they've gotten themselves into, I am the one lost and completely baffled by my own existence. But I can see the black wolf isn't satisfied, his red eyes looking at me with distrust. I finally snap. I don't know what happened to me. All I remember is waking up in this fucking room and then you attacking me. You're squealing like a dying pig. I had to shut you up, otherwise we'd be discovered. You should have explained that to me. I didn't know you spoke our language, and even if I did, you really think you would listen? I know when I see prey fighting for its life. You were far gone the moment you laid eyes on me. His tone is very much like mine, fed up and betraying a hint of hurt. Before we can escalate our argument, Rannoch steps between us.
Enough, this is getting us nowhere.
We don't know where this human is or where he comes from. I don't know that either. I mean, talking wolves, what is all this? I throw my arms out in resignation. This is complete and utter nonsense. Why can't they say I have nothing to gain from this? I look at my eyes with Volgo as the only one treating me like some sort of wild card. I arch my brows upwards, eyes getting glossy despite my efforts to not get emotional. You've hurt me, you wanted to kill me. How can you think I asked for any of this? The Black Wolf's expression softens, almost as if for the first time he considered putting himself in my shoes. Then she turns his gaze away with a deep sigh. The human obviously suffered some sort of trauma.
Yes, you choking him could certainly be called that.
Rannoch scoffs in annoyance. No. I shake my head. I mean, yes, that is going to stay with me for a while, but I don't even remember anything before he attacked me. As traumatic as the encounter was, my problem started much, much earlier. I shudder, sensing some sort of darkness deep in the recesses of my memory almost preventing me from digging any deeper. It's almost as if that darkness consumed all that made up who I was. I had no memories of anything before this day. I can't remember my parents or friends. I feel warmth trickling down my cheeks as I realise I might as well be an orphan. I can't even remember a single other human. I know I am one, but I cannot even picture it. What do I even look like? I regard my hands and feet, then glance around the room. Do you have a mirror? Only after asking do I realise I know what a mirror is. My memory loss seems to be very selective and restricted to anything directly linked to my past. Volgo looks at me with one brow risen while Rannoch smiles apologetically.
Oh, sorry, I don't have such luxuries.
Luxuries? Despite lacking any context, I know that mirrors aren't that. That's when I hear a metallic cling. Both me and Rannoch gaze towards Volgo as unsheathes the long dagger. He approaches us casually while I see Rannoch's hackles raising. Suddenly I think it goes black for a moment and time freezes. A faint whisper fills my mind. I don't know where it's coming from and I don't recognise it either. His blade will taste your flesh. Though it penetrates my very soul with cold fear, my heart almost yells at me not to listen. Is it a warning, or is my frightened mind playing tricks on me? Volgo wouldn't hurt me after he made that promise, would he? The grey male issues a warning growl towards his friend, where I find myself placing a hand on the back of his neck. The wolf twitches at the sensation, looking at me inquisitively. Although it feels counterintuitive, I rub his fur, letting him know that everything is fine. It's okay. I trust the black wolf. Despite my initial knee-jerk reaction, I realise what he wants to do. And just like that, Volgo kneels next to the bed, presenting me with the dagger resting across both his paws. It's clear he takes great pride in it. It's polished to perfection, the glistening surface reflecting my image without a blemish. I reach to his paws, not to pick up the blade, I trust the wolf to keep it steady, but to adjust the angle so I can see myself clearer. I touch my lips, tracing them slowly as my eyes follow the mirrored gesture on the metallic surface. I feel up my cheekbones and touch the tip of my nose, eyes fixed on the reflection. I ruffle my hair, pulling at stray strands of my fringe, pretty much exploring myself in the same fashion I was exploring Rannoch earlier. Without even noticing it, I began weeping again. 2 streaks of tears cut through my image, clearly visible in the blade. Strange sensation twists my stomach, as if I am seeing myself for the first time. My reflection is both strange and so familiar. I am human. This is what humans are.
This is serious, Rannoch,
the black wolf says with a grim tone. Not that he had any semblance of levity before, but at least now he's not been insulting. The first time I can see him look at me with actual concern. Volgo stands up, sheathing his blade back behind his belt and looking to his friend.
If you insist on this foolishness, we should bring Varissa in.
Rannoch remains silent for a moment as if weighing his options. I pull myself together, rubbing away stray tears. Who's Varissa?
A tribe shaman.
She's both a spiritual guide and a healer. I'm glad the Grey Wolf clarifies that, despite being vaguely familiar with the word, I'm not sure what it fully entails. Well, you said she's the one who sent you into the woods. Besides, she could help with my memory loss. I don't exactly feel myself since I've woken up. I realize if there is someone here who could give me medical attention, I'd rather have them check me up. Despite Rannoch's best intentions, he's clearly conflicted about something, and as calm and reassuring as he tries to be, he's no medic. Volgo looks at me with a smile in understanding.
At least the piglet can see some reason.
What I want is to see an end to this emotional roller coaster. Roller coaster. Those words that come to my mind. They make no sense, but at the same time I understand them. I shake my head in frustration. What is going on?
What if she doesn't see it the way I do? Well, if you claim this is part was meant to be Varissa as much a part of it as you are. Besides, without her help, we're already fucked.
That's when my eyes drift to the black wolf, brows risen in confusion. You keep saying we, but if it's Rannoch who found me, how did you get involved? I'm not suspicious or accusatory, just simply curious.
I went looking for the fool when he was gone too long.
Don't spiritual journeys take long? The black wolf covers his eyes in annoyance.
It's just a tradition. You're told to go into the woods, find a rabbit, eat him off, and realise we're all connected, or some other crap.
Volgo nearly snarls in annoyance. I can sense he's not the one to believe in superstitions, and I find myself agreeing.
I took him an entire night to return and decided to look for him. And there he was, fiddling with a naked mole rat.
If you hate me so much, why didn't you just turn us in? Volgor's eyes widen as he looks at me with surprise, but only for a moment before he composes himself again.
I don't hate you, Piglet. You just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Besides, Rannoch is my moon brother. I would never betray him.
Then you're a good friend. Volgor nods as if me saying it doesn't make it any more valid.
Every time he gets into trouble, I have to be there to save his furry ass.
I look up towards Rannoch with a slightly amused smile, noticing the wolf's embarrassment. Does he often find strange creatures in the woods? I don't mind trying to break the tension. Both of the wolves look at me with surprise. We laugh it off.
No, this is the first. His ultimate fuck-up.
The black male jabs, but this time in a playful manner. No. I smile, but I find myself disagreeing with the big wolf. He saved a life. That's not a mistake. Whatever happened to me, if I weren't found, I would surely have died. If not from exposure, then some animal would have done it. I chuckle at the absurdity. The thought of a wild wolf comes immediately to my mind, the beast simply eating me alive while I'm unconscious. Yet you're around because the wolfman rescued me. Had he not found me, I'd most likely be dead by now.
Oh, most likely.
The black wolf tries to shrug indifferently. There's almost a hint of discomfort in his voice. I look up at Rannoch, touching his paw. Thank you. I place all the gratitude into those words I can muster. The wolf smiles, closing his eyes and nodding. Both of you. I smile at Volgor, to which he only shrugs.
Humph.
He looks away, but I can see his tail give an idle flick.
Ring Varissa.
The black wolf nods in satisfaction and leaves the room.
Be careful, though. That sneaky piglet is quite proficient with combs.
I almost choke on a chuckle, completely thrown off by the remark.
Combs?
Rannoch looks at me expectantly, clearly feeling left out from our inside joke. Never mind. I wave him away. As good as the joke was in the moment, I don't want to relive my first encounter with Volgor just yet. With the black wolf gone, an awkward silence falls over the room, but I don't mind. Somehow this grey wolf makes me feel safe and at ease. I sit quietly on the bed looking at the bright afternoon outside the window, anxiously kneading the sheets. Rannoch keeps standing in his spot, not moving or saying anything. I can feel his gaze drill into me as he carefully inspects every inch of my body with a rather odd smile. What?
What?
You keep staring at me. Being called out, Rannoch turns his gaze to the side in embarrassment.
Well, I've never seen a human before.
Did you get a pretty good look when you found me? He still avoids facing me, the insides of his ears growing red.
Oh no, you were unconscious. I only did what I had to save you.
I chuckle at his troubled reaction. I guess he took it the wrong way. If you'd never seen a human before, how did you know I was one?
Well, we have stories.
Of humans?
Among many others. We know you have pink skin, almost no fur aside from the head, that sort of stuff.
I roll my eyes. Beige.
Huh?
My skin is beige. I'd have to stay out in the sun for quite a while to become pink. And humans can have much darker complexions as well.
Huh, is that so? Well, I guess we just haven't dealt with those in the past.
Rannoch grins. We enter another awkward silence. The bright sun and distinctive smell of flowers make me think of spring, although it doesn't seem quite right to me. It's almost as if the seasons got mixed up somehow. However, cool air brushing over my naked body convinces me beyond doubt that it is indeed spring. I shiver slightly, reminded that I'm not wearing any clothes. Why am I look down at my strange loincloth. Almost naked. Where are my clothes?
Well, I found you how the Mother Moon made you.
And this? I pointed to the material covering my groin.
Oh, I put that on for obvious reasons.
Right. My eyes widen in realization this wolf had not only seen me naked, but also put on me what just as well could have been a diaper. I feel my face burning red, heat rising to my cheeks. Thank you. I blurt out awkwardly. I can see the wolf pick up on my train of thought as he looks to the side with his ears folded back, but he quickly regains his composure.
You're welcome.
As much as I want to change the subject, I need to make sure I understand what he meant. So, I was passed out in the woods, but naked?
Well, pretty much.
He shrugs, clearly as uncomfortable with the topic as I am. I'm not sure why. It's not like he was the one whisked away in the nude by a strapping wolfman. This is some first-class damsel in distress crap. Weird.
Oh, yeah.
The wolf sits down on the bed, leaving some distance between us. We avoid looking at each other, although we both sneak a peek from time to time. I can't understand what I was doing naked in the forest. It just doesn't sound like something I would do. It had to be someone else who did this to me, and it's an unsettling thought. Was I kidnapped? Mugged and left for dead? Or maybe drugged and taken into the woods too? No. I shake my head. I don't even want to entertain that idea. However, I can't help but wonder how I ended up there. And where's my home? I must have a family somewhere, someone who loves and cares about me. Someone will be searching for me. But nothing comes to my mind, only this wolf. Without him, I'm completely alone here, and that's terrifying. I can hear his tail swish across the linen. He's either nervous or excited. His paws slide slowly across the bedding towards my leg. I try not to notice, curious what he's up to until he pricks me with his dull claw. What are you doing? I scoff in amusement.
Oh, sorry, this is all new to me. I'm simply curious. Didn't mean any offence.
He fidgets with his fingers, looking innocently at the window. No, it's fine, I guess. Seems only fair after I felt you up.
Yeah, you took some liberties.
He smirks, giving me a side-eye. Okay, then. I decide to move closer to him, pushing out my chest with a challenging smile. Let's get even. I gently tease him, watching him closely all the while. Rannoch looks at me with surprise in his eyes, but quickly smiles back, his tail wagging in obvious joy. He slowly reaches out his paw, hesitant to touch me outright. I think he doesn't want to come off as too eager, and I smirk, tilting my head a little in a "really" expression. He scoffs and finally musters the courage to make contact, touching my chest with his warm pads. I look down at his paw and can't help but feel amazed. He easily covers both my breasts, really driving home how tiny I am compared to this guy. Rannoch rubs me gently for a moment and then moves his paw up to my shoulder. It tickles, but I try to maintain my composure. Being touched like this is weird enough without me making it even weirder with girly giggles. I'm really the first human he's ever met, and I know perfectly well how confusing and mesmerising this has to be for him. After all, I've lived through the same experience just a few moments ago.
You're quite something,
he mutters, sliding his fingertips along my arm.
Soft and fragile, your skin almost like parchment.
I furrow my brows at the comparison. But then again, I guess it's true. And compared to them, I am quite fragile.
Aren't you cold?
He asks absent-mindedly while brushing his paw across my side. Another ticklish cramp shoots through my body and I can no longer rein in my instincts. I twist with a hearty laugh, pushing his paw away. Oh, stop, that tickles.
Oh?
He gasped in amusement.
Oh, good to know.
But yeah, I'm quite cold actually. Do you have any shirts I could borrow? Rannoch grins awkwardly, pointing to his furry body. Right, I guess you have no need for any.
Well, the only thing I could offer is my spare gambeson, but I doubt it would be comfortable.
He points to his paddy quilt, and I have to agree. I'm not sure I'd even wear that. I just need to cover my top, really. I sigh, looking around for something else to cover myself with. I settle for one of the blankets that lays on the bed, tugging at it. Rannoch stands up for a moment, allowing me to pull it out from underneath him. I wrap it around myself almost like a poncho, shielding my body from the draft. So, what do we do now? I ask, looking at the wolf with a risen brow.
We could talk
and get to know each other. I shake my head. I meant this whole mess we found ourselves in.
Ah.
Well, I think I'm responsible for returning you back to your people, whoever they may be. I shrug, knowing full well I have no idea where I'd even return to. If this feels right. Even if it seems fairly real, I have a nagging feeling that I don't belong here. Almost if it were just a dream, something I just need to ride out until I finally wake up.
Your memories will return in time, I'm sure of it.
Well, I'm not.
In the meantime, I just need to protect you.
From what you two said earlier, that might be easier said than done.
Well, that's where Verissa comes in. She's a shaman. If anyone can figure out how to sort this out, it's her.
Sort out how?
Well, I can't hide you in my home forever. Sooner or later someone would sniff you out.
He frowns for just a moment, but a confident smile quickly returns to his muzzle.
I just need to find an angle to present your case to our chief and ensure your safety.
And what is my case?
That you have a right to sanctuary.
Meaning?
Well, it's an ancient Sylvan law, preceding any of the Wolven laws. It means any gravely wounded creature should be granted protection within our forest.
But I'm not wounded. I glance over my body, checking both the torso and the sides. I cannot see my back, so I reach out with my hand, trying to feel out everything.
At least not gravely.
I'm sore, but my skin for the most part seems to be intact.
When I found you, I thought you were. And even now, although you're not physically hurt, it's clear you've suffered some sort of trauma.
If you found me naked, then why would you think I was hurt? Rannoch winces at the question. This doesn't bode well. Rannoch? He remains silent, clearly struggling with the answer, and my voice fills with dread. Why did you think I was gravely wounded?
You're covered in blood and viscera. A lot of it.
I blink. What?
Well, I thought you were attacked and left for dead.
What the hell? I can't even begin to imagine myself splayed out naked in the middle of the forest, let alone drenched in blood. But again I reach around to feel out my body and find nothing. The blood couldn't have been mine. What was going on in that forest? This whole situation gets weirder and weirder with each word this wolf utters.
You were unresponsive and your heartbeat was so faint. I thought you were dying.
His voice falters slightly, causing me to swallow hard. I'm glad I was out for that part.
I had to try and save you, so I decided to bring you here. I came on Volgor halfway to the village. You might not want to admit it, but even he was shaken by your state. At least it made it easy to convince him to help me smuggle you.
I can't imagine Volgor being moved by anything, and that one sentiment alone drives home how terrifying I must have looked.
Well, it seemed like you barely survived a massacre. Once we got you, I began cleaning you of all the blood, washing you bit by bit.
I feel a hot flush as it dawns on me what this means. I was out cold, naked, and this wolf. You washed me. I swallow heavily again, the lump in my throat growing larger. Even though it's obviously had to, the entire idea is quite embarrassing. He mirrors my discomfort, looking away with a defensive tone in his voice.
Well, I needed to find where the blood was coming from.
But I couldn't find anything. There was not a single scratch on your body. He's so flustered I almost feel bad for him. I didn't mean to insinuate anything. I smiled at his hasty explanation, just wanting to put him at ease. There are a few now, I say with a cheeky grin, showing a few scrapes and bruises left by the black wolf. Although Rannoch smiles for a moment, I can see his ears splay back. My good intentions seem to have backfired.
Sorry about that.
It's not your fault. I touch his shoulder, trying to reassure him.
Well, I did leave you in his care.
True. I'd known just for a few moments I wouldn't leave him alone with another living being. I chuckled, trying to cheer him up. But you didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
He sounds unconvinced, looking away towards the window. I can tell he feels responsible for me, and what Volgor did doesn't sit well with him. I decide to drop the subject, but I appreciate seeing how much he cares about it. So, the blood wasn't mine. Rannoch slumps, resting his elbows on his knees and looking straight at the floor.
Well, in retrospect, if it was yours, it would have meant you were bled dry.
There was so much of it.
That's one of the reasons why Vul quickly turned against you.
What? Why?
To him it meant you weren't a victim, but rather...
You can't think I had anything to do with that. I protest, throwing my arms out. I mean, look at me. Do I look like I'm capable of eviscerating someone?
Well, I don't think you are, but it did unsettle him. Besides, it goes deeper than that. I had a moral right to save you had you been hurt, but you were not. I brought you into the village under a false pretense.
But you didn't know that at the time.
Well, I should have checked before I acted. As it stands, you're either dangerous or somehow involved with blood magic.
I'm not dangerous. I cut myself off, allowing his words to fully sink in. Wait, did you just say blood magic? Are you for real? I scoff.
I am.
There's magic? He looks at me with a serious gaze as if ignoring my silly question.
The more Volgor and I thought about it, the more convinced we became that you were part of some dark ritual.
What? I freeze, not out of fright, but out of disbelief.
Well, I think you were meant as a sacrifice.
My mind is spinning, unable to comprehend what I'm being told. I don't even... I pause, just staring blankly at the wall.
You okay?
Talking wolves, strange feeling of dread, whispers in the dark, and now blood magic. It's like a mad dream. I cannot contain the storm in my mind, I just spew out everything in quick succession. I think I need a pause here. You keep saying these things, but I don't understand any of them. You might as well be talking in a foreign language. I get a massive headache just by listening to you. It's like you're from another fucking world.
Well, in a sense, we are.
He shrugs casually, but to me nothing about this is casual. I want to say something, but immediately cut off by the sound of the door opening in the adjacent room. Someone entered the cabin.
We're here.
The grey wolf raises to his feet, approaching the doors. Great, so much for my pause. I mumble in annoyance, knowing full well I'll have to digest another portion of complete nonsense. A female's voice reaches us from the other room, just as Rannoch opens the doors. I bet it's the shaman they spoke of. If this is another of your pathetic attempts at courtship, then... A white she-wolf snorts a vulgar before she cuts off, entering the room. I'm immediately drawn to a moonstone. It's a waning crescent. Mother Moon, it's an actual human.
As opposed to what, an imaginary one?
She looks quite young to be a shaman. Even though I'm not familiar with what shamans actually do, something tells me they should be a bit more experienced. Her golden eyes gaze at me with disbelief for a moment before turning to Rannoch. Have you lost your damn mind? She glares furiously at the grey wolf, who winces and slumps slightly in deference. Verissa? Now it's the female who stumbles back, evidently startled by the sound of her name coming from my lips. Did you speak my...
I don't get too excited. We mentioned your name to humans several times. No spiritual trickery involved.
I try to contain a smirk at Volgo's remark. His pragmatism and down-to-earth attitude are really starting to grow on me. The female's eyes narrow as she moves closer, but she still keeps a safe distance between herself and the bed. So that's what humans look like. Her eyebrows rise at my appearance, and I swear I can hear a hint of disappointment in her voice. As if she expected something... well, something more than I have to offer.
This one seems rather small, no?
I throw an odd gaze towards Volgo. I know I'm not a bodybuilder like those two, but I don't need them to rub it in every chance they get. Yes, it does, but then again I wouldn't know. Never seen one before. The female shrugs, and all my hopes are actually giving me some medical attention melt away. How can she treat a creature if she's never encountered it before?
Well, surely you have to know something.
Rannoch echoes my concern. Yes, Rannoch, I know they are two-legged, upright creatures between 5 to 6 feet tall with little to no fur. Her voice conveys a sense of annoyance I can almost relate to. I only have our text to go by. They don't really deal with humans in detail. Don't think anyone's even seen one in almost 2 generations. If humans are indeed as rare as they make them out to be, how can they expect her to know any more than they do? Still, the idea of me being some sort of endangered species doesn't seem quite right. Almost if I'm in a topsy-turvy world.
Oh, joy. This is going to be that more interesting to explain to his father.
Who is Rannoch's father? You've been making a huge fuss about him ever since I woke up. The two males look at each other, while the female seems to be completely focused on me, her expression full of shock, no doubt caused by me speaking. I roll my eyes, knowing the conversation is going to be derailed by this any moment.
He's the chief.
The chief is Rannoch's father, I blurt out, thrown off by the revelation. Somehow I thought those were 2 different wolves.
Wasn't that obvious from the conversation?
Sorry, I didn't keep track of all the nonsense you two were spewing. What else did I miss? If the chief is Rannoch's father, that's surely an advantage. You weren't bluffing, it does speak our language. Unnerving. Oh great, here we go again. Yes, I can talk. I bark out in annoyance. So can we please not do this again? Verissa looks at me as one would look at an insolent child.
I told you, not a trace of an accent.
We already kind of exhausted the subject. The kid speaks, let's just leave it at that. The grey wolf comes to my aid and I smile at him with gratitude. I really do not want to revisit this conversation. It almost mentally broke me the last time. Verissa sighs and nods in understanding. Listen, child. You cannot speak a word to anyone else but us.
I furrow my brows. Being talked down and patronised doesn't sit right with me. They're not that much older than I am. I'm not a child. Then again, they are talking beasts. My ability to judge their age by looks must be somewhat limited, but I'm sure Rannoch can be that much older than me. You mentioned he just came of age, right?
Oh, how old are you then?
I cut myself off again, struggling with this ever-present nothingness in my mind. I can't remember how old I am, but I know I'm not a child. I'm of age. I summarise, not exactly sure what that means in the wolves, but fairly certain that for a human that's exactly what I am.
Curious, you don't look it.
She mutters, unconvinced. I would take it as a compliment, but I can bet it's another jab at how small I am. It doesn't really matter now, does it? My quip causes Rannoch to laugh.
Witty and sharp-tongued.
The female looks at Rannoch with a hint of fear in her eyes.
This is serious.
Oh, for crying out loud. Why are you also obsessed with my ability to speak? Why do you want me to play mute in front of the others? I can see that she gets more spooked out with each sentence I utter. It only frustrates me more. Are you telling me that humans are supposed to be some sort of primitive cavemen? Is that what it is? Because let me tell you, this house and your outfits looks like they're out of a fucking history book. What? Well, it's a good house. Rannoch glances around his room with slight confusion, while Verissa briefly checks out her dress.
We know that your species isn't primitive.
Then why do you want me to play dumb? She finally snaps at me with a soft, almost melodic growl.
Because others won't understand.
Oh, we do?
What is there to understand?
I ask in resignation.
No outsider speaks our language. We don't teach it to otherkin.
She almost says it with disgust in her voice. The only creatures that can speak our tongue are other Avalan wolves.
And huskies, but they always have this unbearable twang to the way they speak. You speaking to us like you were born here, it's unheard of. Bordering on sacrilegious.
She rests her face in a paw, rubbing her temple. Sacrilegious?
Our language is part of who we are as people. It was given to us by our ancestors to keep and guard as our own, so that only we can communicate with them. We don't take kindly to other kin who try to learn it. Teaching outsiders is a capital offence.
I don't know why or how I would learn it.
Which is more the reason for you to keep quiet. It's clear that someone had to teach you. From the way you speak, it is obviously one of our own. Not only is your life in danger, you could send the entire tribe into a frenzy.
Frenzy? Well, it's clear someone betrayed us and broke our laws by teaching outsiders to speak. You're the walking proof of that.
We'd have the elders clamouring for blood. And that's the last thing our tribe needs now. More paranoia.
This is all utter nonsense. Never seen a talking wolf in my life. Until today, that is. I shrug. The female looks at me expectantly, but I have nothing else to add.
Volgo said you seem to be suffering from a memory loss. I'd say it's far more likely you don't remember meeting a wolf who taught your language, rather than you miraculously gaining the ability out of the blue. Wouldn't you agree?
I guess. I reluctantly concede. In all fairness, both options seem equally plausible, because to me none of this makes any sense, but I'm not about to argue that to a she-wolf who is convinced that her reality is more valid than mine, especially since we apparently need her to save my skin.
Now that we have this out of the way, let's deal with the more pressing matter. What in the name of Luna is the human even doing here?
I rest my cheeks in my hands, slumping down as Rannoch begins to explain his entire misadventure. I pay as much attention as I can, as some parts of the story flew over my head earlier. However, there are no surprises. Rannoch went on his spiritual trip, couldn't find any enlightenment, so he decided to meditate underneath his tree. Whatever that means. Apparently that's where he found me, drenched in blood. I have to question the ancestors of the wolf's worship. If this truly is all part of their plan, it's a shoddy one at best. The whole setup seems more akin to a horror story than an actual spiritual journey. But then again, what do I know? I watch as the female listens carefully to what is being said, but she doesn't show any emotion, even when Rannoch clumsily tries to implicate her through his coming-of-age ceremony, or suggests that I was part of some dark ritual. She's eerily calm, or at least good at hiding her inner thoughts. Oh, that's pretty much it. The grey wolf concludes his explanation, and silence falls over the room. It drags on for a bit while you all look at Verissa expectantly.
She keeps us in suspense a while longer, most likely weighing her options. Sweet ancestors, you are the dumbest wolf in the tribe, if not the whole of Avalan. She sighs, again not showing much of any emotion.
Can you help me protect him?
What choice do I have? Finally, something, a hint of annoyance. It's not exactly filling me with hope, but Volgor proves me wrong.
You really want to get involved?
You've already involved me. Besides, other kin or not, this human is not at fault. She looks at me with pity. From what you both told me, the human was out cold. It's Rannoch who broke the law. I would not be able to sleep knowing I allowed an innocent to pay for his stupidity. I find it hardly fair to belittle Rannoch like this, not when he saved my life. No need to speak. She cuts me off, addressing the two wolves. This is a very precarious situation. We are risking the fury of our tribe.
Well, can you help us?
I need to commune with the spirits. I may have an idea how to fix this, but I want to make sure our ancestors won't find it objectionable.
Yeah, sure. Go have some incense while we worry about what to do with this whelp.
Again, it's hard not to chuckle at Volgor's jabs. It's nice for once not to be on the receiving end of those. Wherever I find myself troubled, any plan involved my safety relies on substance abuse. Yes, I will have some incense so that I can receive guidance on how to avoid us all getting banished. Vima reiterates through her fangs. They keep talking about banishment. I can't quite understand what for. If it's about me keeping my mouth shut, I will. That's only one of the problems. The female retorts, looking at me with slight annoyance. I guess she really meant it when she said I shouldn't talk, but I don't care. The forest around our village is sacred. No outsiders are allowed. So they said. There must be some exceptions. There are none. Trespassing is punishable by death. Even Rannoch's delusion about the right of sanctuary is just that. A delusion. She waves her hand towards the grey wolf in dismissal. Our people haven't been part of the Sylvan for nearly 1,000 years. Claiming ancient customs as the defence for smuggling you would be tricky to say the least.
The idiot should have killed you where he found you.
I frown. Seems a bit harsh. Maybe to you, but it's our forest and our duty to protect it. Protect it from what? I don't even know how I got you in the first place. What can I possibly do? The she-wolf sighs, looking at the ceiling with annoyance. I've clearly exhausted her patience. The human asks a lot of questions. I'm sorry, but you keep saying my life is on the line. I'd like to at least understand why. I get the language part, but what possible danger could I pose to your forest? I'm not an arsonist. The female continues to disregard me, causing a moment of silence. She throws an angry stare at Rannoch, and I can see his ears splay back as he looks at me apologetically.
Well, I'll explain everything later. You said yourself you need a pause, and we need to focus on our next steps.
I take a deep breath, giving him a defiant look, but eventually exhale with a drawn-out sigh. As much as I want to understand what's going on, a break would allow me to digest all I've learned so far. My mind is still slightly spinning from all the revelations. I nod a reluctant smile and can see Rannoch's expression lighten up. It's nice to know how much he cares about my mood. Sometimes I feel like that's not something I'm used to. Someone caring.
We need to figure out how to present the facts to my father.
And those are?
Well, I was meant to find Sam and that he's meant to be here.
You're putting our collective fur on the line. The black wolf issues a stifled growl. He is, but as sane as that sounds, claiming his all fate is our best chance.
You can't be serious. Everything will be fine. The spirits willed it.
For all our sakes, I really hope that's the case. The female embraces herself, looking at me with a worried, almost empathic expression. This is going to be a tough nut to crack. I hope you two are ready for the potential fallout. Moon knows I'm not sure I am.
Remember your own ceremony?
Rannoch looks over with determination.
Your road will be hard, but you must never waver or stray from the path. That was the message you got from the ancestors.
He nods confidently, causing the female to stare at him with a slightly open muzzle.
None of this was meant to be easy.
Rosa smiles softly and finally approaches me, stopping right next to the bed and placing her paw on my head. It's much smaller and lighter than Rannoch's, although the gesture is equally tender. Surprising that for someone so stupid you managed to come up with something almost eloquent.
Ah, come on.
I hear the black male protest in the back with a familiar mockery in his voice.
Life will be hard, so keep at it. How is that a prophecy? It can apply to anyone in any given situation. It has nothing to do with a human.
Shut her full. She sighs, not even regarding him.
Well, I found Sam lying underneath my name tree. He knew my name, speaks our language. The spirits willed it. It's not a coincidence.
Volgor issues an exhausted sigh.
Or it's exactly that, a coincidence. Consider this.
He proposes, drawing attention with his paw.
A confused human who speaks our language runs through the forest, stumbles upon a random tree and reads the inscription. When it faints, it mumbles the last thing it saw. No spirits involved.
Despite his crudeness, I have to agree with him on this. Even though I don't remember anything prior to my awakening, I might have been running through the woods. If I did see a tree with a name on it, I'd most likely read it. And you consider this. The female speaks up, slight mockery in her voice, yet she holds her composure. If that was the case, then we're truly fucked, all of us. She swooshes the paw around the room, encompassing everyone, even me. If it's all just a coincidence that you claim, then the human broke the law by entering the grove. He's dead. Her paw points at me, which sends a cold shiver down my spine. I struggle to swallow as my throat clenches tight. I can feel a bead of sweat running down my forehead. This idiot is facing banishment for not protecting the grove from intrusion. She points at Rannoch, then sighs as the paw nonchalantly waves at the black male. Worse yet, you helped him smuggle the outsider within the boundary of our village. That's banishment for you, too. Not sure what double banishment would mean for Rannoch, but I'm fairly certain his father would not kill him, even though the law demands it. I look at the grey male with worry. The consequences he's facing are almost as dire as mine. I guess Volgo's telling the truth about his friend not thinking things through. And then there's me. The female finally breaks the silence with a resigned exhale. You damn well know that I haven't finished my training. Everyone questions my abilities as a shaman. My very first ceremony, first communion with the spirit world, and I make Rannoch drag a human into the village, breaking our most sacred laws. That's the end of me being a shaman. She lets the words hang for a moment. And now you brought me here when instead of immediately sounding an alarm, I'm trying to help you two fix this. The penalty for being part of a conspiracy is banishment. The female points to each of us in quick succession, starting with me, Rannoch, Volgor, and finishing on herself. Death, banishment, banishment, banishment. So, she looks at the Black Wolf. This is not a silly misunderstanding, Vol. We can't talk our way out of this or use our positions to mitigate the damage. Shall we then all agree this is the will of the spirits, or shall we simply march to the chopping block? She asks with a melodic, almost taunting tone.
Well, there's a simple solution, but I'm sure neither of you will approve.
Rannoch issues a stifled growl.
And why bring it up? Just putting it out there.
The Black Wolf shrugs.
Snapping its neck would solve the problem. It would be slightly awkward now that it has a name.
Yes, he does. So you might as well start using it.
I'm going to stick with Piglet for now. No point in getting attached just yet.
The Black Wolf tries to give me a cold gaze, but his muzzle is tinged with worry.
We're all walking on thin ice here.
The female shakes her head in dismissal. Don't you worry. I intend to save our pelts as well as the human's life. The female approaches the door, opening it.
So you know how to fix this?
I already said I do. I just need to make sure I will not offend the ancestors. As she's about to leave, she stops, turning towards the two wolves. Our little congregation was most likely noted. I suggest we disperse not to raise any further suspicion. The wolves nod to each other in agreement. Might stay here alone. Sam, was it? Since you claim you're not a child, I assume you'll be fine on your own. I frowned at his snarky remark, but nodded in agreement. Fool, you keep an eye on the house. Make sure no one's snooping about. Rannoch, you must go and speak with Tano.
Why?
The male scoffs, seemingly appalled by a suggestion. Because not joining your father on the hunt already looked very odd. Chat him up about rangers or patrols or whatever it is you fur-for-brains do. Make him an excuse to put him at ease. Who's Tano?
A nosy bastard.
And the last thing we need is him sniffing about. I don't understand. Can't you just stay at home? She looks at me with a slightly risen brow, clearly annoyed how I keep talking. We are a tight-knit community. Meeting up in seclusion reeks of dissent. With that, she leaves the room, Volgor following suit. Only Rannoch stays behind for a moment, as struggling to decide on something. Then she approaches me and crouches next to the bed so that our eyes are on the same level. He gently squeezes my shoulder with his paw, one of his fangs poking out through a goofy smile.
I won't be long,
he says encouragingly.
Once I'm back, we'll be able to talk some more, okay?
I nod and snicker, hearing his tail swoosh against the wooden floor in excitement. The way he wags his tail with such enthusiasm almost begs to question why the whole place is so dirty. One does not even need a broom with a wolf like that around. Rannoch! The female calls out impatiently from the other room.
Well, just stay out of sight.
I'll be fine. I reassure him, but then I hear a deep rumble inside my stomach. The cramps make me squirm as if I'd never eaten a meal before. I am ravenous, and I think the stress of the situation is the only thing that kept my attention away from it. If I could only have something to eat. I see the wolf look at me with a troubled expression as if he didn't factor in that I require sustenance. Rannoch slaps his forehead in deep annoyance.
Spirits, I'm so stupid. What is it now?
The black wolf calls out from the other room, appearing in the doorway.
How are we going to feed him?
I can eat pretty much anything. I mumble, although the idea of raw meat is making me queasy.
Fuck.
Volgor's resigned curse makes me think that my diet is not the main problem here.
We eat together as a tribe. Only mothers with pups are allowed to eat separately. Smuggling food home was looked down upon as a sign of gluttony.
I would immediately rouse suspicion. I looked at Rannoch's troubled expression. I can see he didn't think this through, none of it. But as he meets my worried gaze, his expression changes immediately.
Well, I'll get you some food.
He says determinedly, but a slight unease lines his voice.
No, I'll do it.
We both looked at Vol with surprise.
I'll be keeping an eye on the house anyway.
He shrugs with a hint of embarrassment, and even Rannoch picks up on it, smirking.
You're warming up to Sam, aren't you?
Fush, you heard it. It's just easier that way. The black male scoffs indignantly. No one would dare follow me. Once the feast starts, I'll bring the piglet some roast.
I hope roasted meat agrees with you.
I smile in relief as the thought of eating raw was banished by his words. Why didn't I assume they would eat anything uncooked when they're clearly as civilized as I am? Let's go. Volgor enters impatiently, tapping his foot against the ground and causing Rannoch to stand up. The grey wolf winks at me while tilting his head towards a small window.
Stay out of sight.
I nod as he follows his companions out of the bedroom. They close the doors behind, and a moment later I can hear them leave the house altogether. I'm finally alone. I look around the tiny room, idly patting at the bedding. There isn't much noise, mostly some distant chatter I can't make out, muffled voices too far away to be intelligible. What I do hear is the forest, wind ruffling the leaves and birds chirping in nearby trees. I'm tempted to approach from the window and simply take in the scenery, but I know better. I close my eyes and chuckle nervously. This is utter nonsense. I must be dreaming. Or maybe I am the one who huffed some incense. Whatever the case, I'm exhausted by all of this, so I allow my head to fall freely onto the pillow. I collapse into the fabric, allowing it to wrap around me in a warm embrace. It only takes me a moment to sink down into it. The snugness makes my eyelids droop instantly, as heavy as if they were made of lead. For some odd reason, I feel extremely exhausted, almost as if staying awake was unnatural to me. Guess that's what stress does to you. I try to look at the ceiling for a bit, seeking patterns in the naked woodwork, locating different burls and knots within the natural grain of the planks. I yawn, closing my eyes. I let the fatigue overtake me and I drift away into a peaceful sleep. I suddenly wake to a loud, resonating thud. I get up immediately, seeing the room covered in darkness. It's clearly night. How long was I asleep? Another thud makes me jump up. This time I know where it's coming from. Someone's banging on the window. Rannoch? I call out quietly towards the next room. I know the male went to deal with his tribesman, but I hope he already returned. The banging continues, this time more impatient, and I start to panic. I look towards the window, trying to remain hidden within the shadows of the room. I'm not supposed to be seen. I can clearly make out a large, dark figure, obviously a wolf. I think it might be one of the tribesmen snooping around. Wasn't Volgor supposed to make sure this didn't happen?
Open the damn window!
I hear the familiar cold voice and exhale in relief. I approach the window, feeling a lot less worried than before, quickly locating the latch, holding it closed. Both wings open with a tortured creak, obviously not used to being swung ajar.
Here's your chow, piglet.
The wolf passes me a sizable bundle wrapped in linen cloth. Thank you. I respond, taking the parcel. I smile, feeling the aroma of roasted meat hit my nostrils. I'd nearly forgotten how hungry I am. Aren't you going to come in?
No one lives with Rannoch and he's not home. Besides, it's already night.
I look around, noticing how dark the outside world has gotten.
Can't you have a friend over?
I ask, slowly unfolding the cloth.
Not overnight.
The black male responds, almost appalled by the suggestion. Why?
Because that would make them both look defective.
I make a dumb sound which only gives me a telling gaze.
Oh!
Guess wolves don't like homosexuality. But just because two guys are alone in the same room at night doesn't mean they... I try to rationalise, but I can see his rising brow with each word I utter. Yeah, that does sound a bit off now I think about it. Is that why you're standing outside the window? Afraid I would seduce you? To my surprise, Vulgar snorts at the suggestion and almost smiles.
Well, I shall pick with a better chances at that.
I raise an eyebrow with a challenging smirk. It seems more suspicious to have males sneaking about windows rather than having them over for a drink. Vulgar narrows his brows, looking at me with slight amusement.
You couldn't drink your way out of a piss bucket, suckling.
Ouch. The jab was malicious, but ouch. He's definitely been playful, but considering choking me out was his gentler side, why not expect his verbal spars to be any tamer? I just shake my head with a smile. At least having a female over has to be normal around here, right? I don't believe in for a moment this village is full of celibate homophobes. How about a lady caller then? Can't he have those over? Vulgar snorts again.
He can, as much as you do sound like a little bitch. It's a small tribe.
I nearly choke with a sharp remark that can evolve with obvious annoyance. He clearly enjoys that at least one of his jabs finally landed.
Having a female over is quite hard to misunderstand. A mate leads to rumours, rumours raise suspicion, suspicion leads to wolves sniffing about. We wouldn't want that, would we?
I shrug, finally opening the parcel to reveal its contents. It's filled with succulent cuts of meat. They don't look the most appetising, mostly shredded apart without a care. The smell alone is enough to make my mouth water. I quickly glance around, really troubled by a little rendezvous. It does look quite conspicuous.
Don't worry, I'll know if anyone gets close enough to vanish in time.
I flash my brows indifferently. Guess not only Rannoch is full of himself. I quickly grab one of the chunks and bring it to my lips. Vulgar gazes at me with extreme curiosity. I'm far too hungry to pay him any mind. I take a ravenous bite. The meat falls apart at the slightest touch from my tongue, almost melting inside my mouth. I gasp in satisfaction, closing my eyes in complete bliss.
It's good. It's very good.
No matter how hard I try, I cannot figure out what it is I'm actually eating. Despite my memory being wiped clean, I can still recall certain things. I remember how chicken tastes, or beef. This is something different entirely. I take another chunk, hastily stuffing it whole into my mouth. God, I'm hungry, and this meat is hitting the spot. It tastes like nothing I ever knew. It's slightly sweet and has an earthy, almost nutty flavour to it.
Oh, so good. What is it?
I ask, still chewing through the sinew, forgetting my manners for a moment.
A roasted boar.
The male responds. There's no discomfort in his voice, but I ignore him. I'm utterly consumed by this meal as I can finally feel the large void in my stomach fill up. It's almost as if I haven't eaten in forever. I take another piece of meat, reveling in its tenderness and juices.
Oh, it's going to make me sick.
The black male finally catches my attention with his troubled confession. I can see his distress as if he was truly struggling to keep down his own meal.
Woof.
I ask, my mouth still full of meat, so I lick my greasy fingers.
I wondered how you can eat without a muzzle. But this...
He struggles, covering his snout as one does to stop a reflux.
You just stuffing it into a hole in your head.
I blink in confusion as the male turns away from me. Is he serious? He's really unsettled just by watching me eat? I chuckle, making nothing of it, and continue with my meal. The idea of this large, cold warrior getting weak at the knees because of my mouth is too much. I'm about to laugh when...
What
the... Volgo's just retched a few steps away from the window. I look at his crouching figure in momentary disbelief. As he purges again, I immediately take my food off the ledge. I know if the acidy smell hits my nose, I'll join him in emptying my own stomach, so I quickly close the window. I stand there looking for any signs of him getting better, but after a while I bring another meat to my mouth with a shrug. I'm still hungry after all. Finally, Vulgar appears on the other side of the glass, looking at me with an accusatory gaze. I pause, but its embarrassment makes me chuckle, and then I lose it. I explode in loud laughter, which causes the male to wave at me in panic. It only makes me laugh harder. I can't believe I made this wolf sick just by eating.
Shh, be quiet.
He shushes me, I'm unable to rein myself in.
Shut up, Flatface, I'll come in and choke you again.
He finally growls in playful annoyance. I hush down, looking at him with a smirk. Flatface?
You really need to keep quiet if anyone finds you here.
I know. I roll my eyes. I really think you three exaggerate a little bit. I blurt out, causing the black wolf's eyes to narrow. Your people wouldn't kill me just because I got lost in their woods. I mean, even you understand this isn't right.
You know nothing, Piglet.
I shrug, continue to nibble on the meat.
I only tell you this, you have no illusions about this not being serious. Long ago, a Tiger-Eye noble desecrated our grove.
Desecrate? How?
He carved his name into one of the name trees.
I narrow my brow, looking at him with confusion. Isn't that what a name tree is for? Like, I've been here kind of thing?
No,
he says with a deadly serious tone, his joviality now completely gone.
They are sacred to my people. They supposedly keep the spirits of our ancestors tethered to this world.
How does that work? The wolf waves his paw at me dismissively.
It doesn't matter. What does matter is we issued punishment as our right, despite knowing it would cause a war we had little hope of winning.
Wait, you killed someone just because of graffiti?
Maybe. If you live long enough, you'll understand. For now, just accept to us, damaging a name tree is one of the worst crimes one can commit.
I shake my head in disbelief. Was it really worth starting a war over?
We didn't start it, the Tigers did.
Because you killed one of their own over something so...
Don't talk about things you have no understanding of.
He raises his voice ever so slightly as he stifles a growl. Those trees are definitely a store spot for the wolves.
Our world ceased to exist long, long ago. Other kin saw to it. This forest and our traditions are all we have left that was lost.
I can detect an odd twinge of sadness and longing in his voice, something I've never heard before from the male.
Wolves will go to any lengths to protect what's left, even if it means going to war. If anyone knows you've been here, a lynch mob would have torn you to shreds before any of us had a chance to react.
I stop eating, feeling the weight of his words finally sink in. Despite not really understanding the full context of what he said, it's clear the wolves hate otherkin. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. The black male looks at me with annoyance for a moment before exhaling heavily.
Just take this seriously. It's enough that Rannoch makes light of the situation. I don't want to lose my moon, brother, not because of...
He cuts himself off, looking at me with an almost apologetic gaze. Me. I finished the sentence for him, although I'm sure he meant to use some sort of an insult.
Oh, it's nothing personal.
I know, and I'll be careful. Believe me, I do not have a death wish. The black wolf smirks at me, most likely trying to lighten the situation.
Oh, well, you could have fooled me. I better go. If I stay much longer, others will wonder where I disappeared to.
Well, he throws me a surprised gaze, and I can see his brow narrow slightly in annoyance. Should have used his full name, but fuck it. Thanks.
Humph.
He shrugs, leaving me alone, and I return to the bed. I plop onto the mattress, bouncing up and down a bit, trying to calm myself down. I really hope I didn't annoy him as much as it seemed I did. The delicious meaty smell drifts through the air from the parcel and invites me to dig in once again. My mood instantly lifts, if only slightly, as I bite into another succulent cut. It's tasty, but I really wouldn't mind having something else to go with it. Bread. I close my eyes, instantly smile on the recollection of what bread is. The crunchy rim of a freshly baked loaf, the smell of it as it comes out straight from the oven. How do I even know these things? I shrug, continuing to eat. No point dwelling on it. I really can't do anything about it. Rannoch's right. Everything will be revealed in time. If I can randomly remember what bread is, I'm sure I remember something more tangible from my previous life. Previous life. I stop chewing and chuckle, considering what I'm actually saying. Whatever happened before these wolves found me seems completely separated from who I am now. Almost as if I've been severed from my past. I look at the crumpled cloth containing my dinner. I only ate half of it, if not less. The portion is generous, true, but I also lost my appetite. What is exactly going on with me? I have no idea. I fold the cloth back up, deciding to keep the rest of the meat for later. Slowly I approached a small dresser, the very same one I climbed on when I first set my eyes on Volga. My feet brushed an object across the floor. I noticed the comb still lying there. I picked it up with a smile, remembering my defiant stand against the black wolf. With a shrug, I opened the drawer from which I retrieved it and placed it back in there. I shut it, not even looking inside. I'm a guest here, I shouldn't pry. Gently I set the parcel down on the flat top and turned to approach the door. From what I understand, this house has at least one more room. I'm curious to see it. I put my ear to the door, trying to determine if anyone's there. Rannoch? I mutter, mostly confirm what I already know. I slowly crack the door open and see what's actually behind them. The room is similar in size to the bed chamber I woke up in. However, it has 2 windows instead of 1. I can see the orange glow of a large bonfire come from outside. I can hear the sound of wolves talking and laughing. It almost makes me want to approach the window and have a look, but I realise I'd be immediately spotted. My pale skin would reflect the glow of the fire, making me look like a ghost behind the glass. I sigh instead and look around the room properly. There's a table with a set of chairs, another cupboard, and a large fireplace. All of it looks comfy, but incredibly rustic. Another thing I know. This is an incredibly old-timey looking house. Though what a normal house should look like, I can't recall. I frown, realising there's no other bed. There's only a stack of blankets in front of the hearth. Rannoch gave me his own bed. I approach his makeshift bedding, crouching down beside it. I can tell it was slept in recently. Strands of grey fur dotting the fabric. How long was I out before I woke up for the first time? A shadow moves by the front window, causing me to drop to my knees, hiding out of sight. There's a lot of movement outside, so the village is still up and going despite the darkness. I can't tell the time, though. The passage of time is almost impossible to work out here. Although I don't know why, not being able to measure it fills me with incredible frustration. Why do I feel the need to know what time it is? Night is night. Where does the idea to even measure it come from? I shake my head. All of this is giving me a massive headache. I look around, find something to wash the meat down, and find the jug on the table. I grab a cup and pour myself a glass. Taking a reluctant sip, I half expected wine or ale, but thankfully it's just plain water. I empty the entire cup thirstily, pouring myself another round. It almost feels as if I'm having a drink for the first time in my life. Fuck, so weird. I gasp, finally having my fill. At some point I will have to use the toilet, however I can clearly see there's none in the house. I wince, realising that most likely there's an outhouse somewhere in the back. Not only does that seem Spartan, but also I'm not allowed to leave. I guess I'll have to hold it in for a bit. Luckily my body feels utterly empty, so I don't need to go just yet. Hopefully everything will be settled before I do and I'll be able to get out. The only thing worse than an outhouse would be a chamber pot. I cringe, shivering at the thought. Nope, I decide to return to my bed. Rannoch is most likely occupied, and hearing how merry everyone is outside, this might take a while. I close the doors to the bedroom behind me and approach the bed. Sounds of faint music reaches my ears. It's very upbeat and almost invites one to dance. The feast seems to be quite a party. Pity I have to miss it. I allow myself to sway in the rhythm, moving from one leg to another, almost as if remembering something I used to do once upon a time. I must look incredibly foolish. I drop onto the mattress, chuckling, filled with a little bit of nostalgia. Just sitting on the bed makes me incredibly tired. I yawn uncontrollably. I've been out for at least a day, considering Rannoch had to sleep on the floor. Then why am I so exhausted? Staying awake doesn't come naturally to me. My eyes become incredibly heavy again. I feel as if I'm wrapped in a warm, snug embrace. It must be the meal I ate. So much meat is quite heavy for your stomach. That must be it. I'm just getting drowsy from eating. I rest my head on the pillow and close my eyes, allowing myself to drift away into that familiar nothingness. But it isn't nothingness. This time I don't lose awareness. Panic grips at my heart as I realise I'm back where I was at the beginning of all this. No, I don't want to feel this again. My body begins to fade into oblivion, all senses abandoning me aside from my consciousness. That's when the familiar voice returns, a multitude of words spoken all at once. I want to scream, but all I can do is simply think. What do you want? One chance. I feel a searing pain within my soul as if the words hurt me. Stop. My whole being is screaming in unimaginable agony. No, you stop it. I demand, unable to contain myself in this pit of despair. Too late. I want to fight back, but each word pushes me closer and closer to the brink of madness. I don't know whether the voices stop themselves or did I simply give in. After the last wave of pain, I pass out. Everything returns to that familiar feeling of abandon. Not a single dream reaches me, or at least that's what I think. As if I drifted away on the pillow, filled with a delicious meal, and everything simply paused. However, I can't shake off this odd feeling of dread. I feel something ominous at the edge of my consciousness. I feel like I'm being watched. A creaking plank stirs me from my sleep. I open my eyes in a panic, seeing nothing but darkness before me. I quickly locate the window, trying to confirm I haven't returned to the void. It's simply night and I'm still here, in this strange world filled with talking wolves. Another creak causes me to jump up. Who's there? A shadow of a large beast moves slightly, sitting at the foot of my bed, its eyes glistening in the dark. My blood freezes and I'm about to scream when a hint of light betrays a familiar grey coat. Rannoch! God, why? I squeak out in both relief and panic.
Oh, couldn't sleep.
The wolf shrugs casually.
And I wanted to get to know you better without others hanging on to our every word.
And you intend to do that by creeping onto the bed in the middle of the night?
Oh, it's held up longer than expected.
Rannoch gives me a goofy smile as if he doesn't understand why this could be unsettling. It's the middle of the night, I try to reiterate. You're a wolf.
Yes, and you're a human. We've established that already.
My point exactly. He gives me another naive smile, causing me to sigh in resignation. Most humans would find this whole setup extremely terrifying.
Most wolves would find you extremely terrifying.
The grey wolf retorts teasingly. Disgusting, maybe. I smirk, rolling my eyes, and recall Volgo's earlier reaction.
Well, I don't find you disgusting.
He protests, laughing.
Do you find me terrifying?
He grins, painfully baring his fangs at me, but I try not to flinch. I'm not really sure what answer he expects, but I decide to be honest. I do?
Oh, good.
He nods with satisfaction.
What good is a wolf when a tiny human doesn't fear him?
He laughs, widening his smile and jokingly punching my shoulder. You want me to fear you? I ask teasingly, drawing a mischievous growl from Rannoch's throat. Despite it just being a game, it did startle me, but I keep my composure. Or so I think. Rannoch simply laughs at me, his tail swooshing on the bed in glee.
Doesn't take much to get your heart pumping, does it?
Fuck, I forgot he has a heart rate monitor in his head. Wait, what? Just for a moment, I can almost hear a rhythmic beeping before it vanishes into nothingness. I heard it before, just before everything went black, before I woke up in this room. To die so young. I think I died. The wolf blinks, completely thrown off by my remark.
Or is that your usual pickup line?
Rannoch smirks slyly, his tail slapping the bed in anticipation. This time I'm the one blinking. What?
Well, I think I died and went to heaven.
He grins flirtatiously, sidling closer towards me. What? No. I protest, pushing myself away. What's wrong with you? None of this is funny. I almost shout out in annoyance. I know I'm not angry at him. I don't even understand why I'm angry in the first place, but I feel as if I'm mourning my own passing. I couldn't be dead. But then, where the hell am I? What the fuck is going on? I look at him wide-eyed, feeling as they swell with tears. The wolf moves back to his original spot, looking defeated. He's slouching with ears folded back and his tail tucked to the side.
I'm sorry, I didn't...
You act like this is fun and games, but I am truly terrified. My voice cracks as my mind races out of control. I'm at the edge of the abyss, just a step away from falling back into that dark hole. I'm really scared. The wolf stands up, causing the mattress to poke back up as its weight disappears.
That much is clear,
he mutters sorrowfully. He sulks towards the door, obviously taking my outburst to heart. Ever since I woke up in this strange world, he's been nothing but kind and caring towards me. even though through my memory loss, deep in my heart I know it's something I rarely experienced. It's not fair to him to feel dejected just because I'm paranoid.
I'll leave you be.
He opens the door with a solemn expression. Wait! His brow raises my sudden request. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to explode like this. Please, don't leave me alone. Not now. He tilts his head in bewilderment at my pleading expression.
Well, I thought you didn't want me here.
No, I do. I really do. It's just hard to stay in the moment with all the thoughts spinning in my head. I think that's why I'm sleeping so much. To get a break. He closes the door and hastily returns to my side.
What happened?
I had not a memory, but something flashed through my mind. It really spooked me.
Well, I can see that.
The wolf sits down next to me, his fur brushing against my skin. It's soft and inviting. He looks at me inquisitively, but I only sit there, struggling to maintain my composure. As I'm about to lose that battle, he reaches around my back and pulls me close into a warm embrace. Resisting crosses my mind, but I instantly banish the thought. All I want is to feel safe, and for whatever reason, every time he's around it makes me feel just that. I surrender myself completely and allow him to cradle me into his chest. I try to calm myself down as he idly ruffles my hair.
What was it?
I don't know. It makes me feel dead.
You aren't dead.
Certainly doesn't feel like I am, but still. I breathe heavily into his chest, his musk and smell of the forest filling my nose. He must have been drinking since I can detect the faint whiff of wine coming from him. It's a calming combination, almost like some sort of inhaling balm. His gentle stroking and steady rise and fall of his chest soothes me further. Within moments I manage to compose myself, and once I can hear his tail wag again, I gently push myself away from the wolf. I sigh, resting my face against my arms in resignation. This whole thing is so messed up. I feel him place a paw on my head. I feel so vulnerable. He ruffles my hair softly, the paw's weight matching the feeling in my gut.
It's okay. You know that none of us would hurt you, right?
That's not it. I find myself looking up, his paw still gently stroking my head as my blurry eyes meet his. You keep saying everything's going to be fine, but none of this is fine. I don't know who I am, who you are. I stretch out my arms as if trying to encompass the whole world. You say that talking wolves are normal. There are other beast folk out there, like it's something obvious. I look down on my twitching leg. All of this is news to me, as if I was born yesterday. Rannoch just sits there, petting my head and listening. That simple gesture is the most comforting thing I've felt since I woke up.
You simply lost your memory. With time, everything will come back to you, I'm sure of it.
The wolf forces a soft smile into his muzzle. He's trying to encourage me. We both know that's all it is, an encouragement. How can you be so sure?
Because I trust the ancestors. Our paths crossed for a reason.
I roll my eyes. I'm not his damn wish away. Talking wolves, ancestors and name trees. I feel like I'm dreaming.
Well, even if it is a dream.
He cuts off, biting his lip. I see his expression shift as if he's thinking something over and the paw on top of my head comes to a stop.
Aside from the whole memory loss, is it a bad dream to have? Or am I that much of a nightmare to be around?
I look over at his teasing expression and blink. The paw starts to softly ruffle my hair again. I can't help but chuckle, forcing my welled-up eyes to release 2 stray tears. It's so surreal, but I have to give Rannoch credit. He's a smooth talker. No, you're not. I scoff, and this time he chuckles. I envy his light-hearted attitude. Even though he faces almost as harsh consequences of this misadventure as I do, he doesn't seem to mind. If anything, he seems very set on protecting me and making me feel safe. Once he sees me smile, he withdraws his paw and we sit like that for a moment until I finally break the silence. Why did you save me?
Well, like I said, the ancestors guided me towards my path.
I shake my head. I'm not a path.
First let me walk it and then we'll decide.
He smiles slyly. You're betting quite a lot on me. If you found me next to your name tree, why did you take me in? Vull told me your people are willing to go to war over them. Rannoch laughs.
Don't call him Vull to his muzzle unless you want to be choked again.
He paused, thinking over what I said.
As for the tree, you didn't harm it.
But what if it was harmed? I pose a question despite being troubled by what his answer may be.
It wasn't.
Hypothetically. What if whoever left me in the forest damaged it and I was only collateral? What would you do then?
I don't want to talk about it.
Just answer the question. Rannoch looks away, clearly disturbed by the scenario. His ears splay back as he struggles to give me an answer, but the silence speaks for itself. Had someone damaged the tree, I would pay the price. Despite my worst suspicion being confirmed, I'm glad the wolf at least has been honest with me. I'm not offended. I'm just saying our situation is quite circumstantial. Something you believe to be fated, a lot of things could have played out differently. The wolf looks at me with an irritated expression.
Why do you do this? I saved you, didn't I?
He clearly doesn't enjoy this little mental exercise. Because if the tree was damaged, you wouldn't have. If that's the case, it's hard for me to see this as fate.
You're reading too much into this.
I'm not. Had I damaged the tree even by accident, you would have killed me. The wolf finally stands up, snarling at me with genuine anger, his muzzle baring his fangs like I've never seen before.
Yes, I would have killed you. Is that what you want to hear?
I pull away from him in fear. I can't bear seeing him like this, like the feral beast he actually is. Noticing my reaction, the wolf's expression softens, his fangs hide behind a remorseful expression. He sighs in resignation and silence falls over us. Eventually Rannoch smiles at me, giving me a patronising look.
That's what fate is, though, isn't it? A lot of things fall into place in just the right way.
I roll my eyes again. I guess that's something I'm going to do a lot around this wolf. There's no point in arguing about this. He's too set in his ways. I still don't understand why he'd be willing to kill someone over a tree.
There's more to it than that.
His expression sours. Well then, enlighten me. Rannoch looks at me concerned, as if unsure if he should elaborate on the subject. Please? He nods reluctantly, sitting back on the bed but keeping appropriate distance.
Whenever a pup is born, we plant a special sapling within the grove. It's fashioned from the seeds of their parents' name trees.
How does that work? I can see a cheeky grin paint on the grey wolf's muzzle.
Well, when a mommy tree loves a daddy tree very, very much.
Oh, fuck off. I scoff through a chuckle accompanied by Rannoch's laughter.
Well, what do you want me to say?
He barks out defensively. Sorry, I don't know how you make tree babies.
Well, it's simple, really. You just pollinate a seed of one tree with the other.
Uh-huh, and then what? I'm starting to have a very confused look on my face as the wolf regards me with mild frustration.
You just plant it. As the pup lives long enough to earn a name, that name is then carved into his growing tree. When we die, we are buried beneath him so we can become one. This allows our spirits to stay in this world a little while longer, to guide our people. As long as the tree lives, our ancestors are still with us.
I take a moment to digest the information. That's what wolves meant by saying the ancestors reside inside of them. It's their resting place. The grey wolf blinks, looking at me in shock.
Well, talked about it? Well, I'm surprised he doesn't open just to anyone about spiritual stuff.
I'm not sure he's trying to make me feel better or speaking the truth about the blackmail. Despite Volgor's earlier actions, I'm already warming up to him. I like to think that he's starting to warm up to me in turn. We sit like this for a moment in silence, but I don't mind. His presence alone is enough to put me at ease, or at least as much at ease as he himself is. Despite sitting next to each other, I have to look up to meet his gaze, his form towering above mine. If, I say slowly, thinking back to the dark void which held me so enviously before I opened my eyes, it almost feels as if it's still here somewhere, hiding at the edges of my vision and waiting to reclaim me. The persistent thought of me actually being dead doesn't help either. Perhaps those are just last imaginings of my slowly fading mind. What a horrible thought. If this is just a dream, then I'm not sure I want to wake up.
Then don't.
He closes his eyes, smiling. Everything is so simple for him. I feel like I don't have a choice in the matter. I've lost all sense of agency. The wolf looks at me with a worried expression and then proceeds to look at the window. We sit like this for a moment and I find myself staring at the world outside. The calm of the night claimed the forest and the moonlight bathed it in hues of midnight blue.
Maybe it's the exact opposite.
I look up at the wolf, confusion obviously painted on my face.
You have a clean slate. You can start life anew. No mistakes of the past to weigh you down. No attachments, no strings.
I narrow my brows, almost feeling if he made light of my circumstance. Would you trade places with me then?
I would,
he says without hesitation. I blink, caught off guard by the statement. It sounded almost sincere.
I've made many mistakes in my life, and my future was already decided long before I was born. I knew who I would be, when and who I had to mate with, everything predetermined without my say. You're the first actual choice I had. Who's without agency here?
He forces a challenging smirk, and I reciprocate it with a smile. Wait, mate? I cough, surprised I actually asked that out loud. Rannoch looks at me with a bit of confusion, but quickly laughs loudly. I look at his massive jaw, teeth glittering in the dim light of the moon. He used to send shivers down my spine, but now he makes me smile in amazement.
Funny how that's the only thing that stuck out to you.
I cough, pulled back into the conversation. Oh, God. My face flushes red as I realise what he just implied. It was the odd one out.
Right.
He muses, looking at me teasingly. Honestly, I don't know anything about your traditions.
Well, I could teach you.
I bite my lip, sensing a trap. But at the same time, learning their customs isn't such a bad idea. Especially if I were to stay here until I get better. If I were to get better. And hey, might even jog some of my memories. I finally smile, nodding. Okay, teach me.
Well, we are set up to mate with a compatible peer in our childhood. Once we come of age, we...
Not that! The heat rises to my cheeks and I try to shoo away the mental image of him having sex. Oh God, now it's in my head. I feel my face burning up and hiding in my palms as the wolf laughs merrily. I meant the culture, I mumble, still guarding my face from ridicule.
Well, it is our culture. Might even say it's one of its most important aspects.
Can't argue with that. So, I finally managed to compose myself. I'm not a child anymore. I shouldn't act like one, giggling and blushing upon hearing a no-no. I raise my head and look up at Rannoch. You basically grow up knowing who you'll have to be with?
Well, I know you humans do things differently. We don't stay with our mates. We generally just mate to produce the most desirable offspring to further the tribe,
he states matter-of-factly. Thought of living like that almost makes me feel sad. Don't wolves feel love? Rannoch laughs again, this time even louder, as if I cracked the best joke he'd hear the entire day.
What does love have to do with it?
It has a lot to me. I blurt out, almost gasping and covering my mouth. Somehow I managed to rein in that impulse. I don't want the wolf to misconstrue me.
We do love, Sam, but it doesn't factor into procreation. We mate for the tribe, we love for ourselves.
I look at him confused. It sounds so wrong, yet do I even have a point of reference? I can't remember my life before this whole mess. How am I so sure it's not the case for everyone? However, my gut tells me this is not what I agree with. The wolf looks at me, seeing the gears turning behind my mask of silence. He decides to break it.
Well, I know humans take mating seriously. I've heard they vow loyalty to each other, which also includes...
This time he bites his lip. I almost shiver seeing the fang poke out, but again the wolf laughs.
The carnal side of things.
This makes me blush again as the image of me having sex pops into my head. How would that even work? Did I ever have sex? I try to imagine the act and I jump up in bed with a yelp, startling the wolf.
What happened?
I turn as red as bricks, quickly looking away from him. Why? Why does my mind do this to me? Why did it show me with him? He's a talking beast, man. What the hell, brain? I shake my head. There's nothing to it. I know there isn't. Just don't remember what other people look like. All I know is him. Ugh. Why do I even explain myself to myself? I just need to rein in my thoughts in, that's all.
Are you okay? Did you remember something?
The wolf sounds worried, placing his massive paw on my shoulder. The sheer sensation causes me to inexplicably shiver.
Perhaps you took the vows with someone?
What?
No!
I protest as hard as I can, almost offended at the insinuation. Quickly my resolve melts away as I realise that I don't know. I have no clue. I might have? I slump back into my hands, struggling to contain tears once again. This is so messed up. Who even am I? Out of the corner of my eye, I see his big paws surround me, with massive claws at their end. My heart skips a beat, but I don't allow myself to be terrified. It wouldn't be fair, not to him. The wolf leans in closer, and again I feel his embrace. The warmth of his fur completely envelops me, and I feel his heavy breath brush my hair and fall down my neck.
You're Sam. That's all that matters.
he murmurs softly, rubbing my back with his paws. I chuckle into his chest, feeling so safe in his embrace as if nothing could happen to me while he holds me close. I feel those things, certain truths, but I can't be certain of them at all. The wolf still holds me tight in his arms. I wonder if he even hears me through his fur, but he quickly disposes my doubts.
If you feel strongly about anything, don't doubt it.
Even if I can't remember?
Or especially if you can't remember.
The wolf gently pushes me away so our eyes can meet again. He has a soft smile, the most reassuring gaze he can muster.
Your feelings are your compass. Follow them.
Then, I know I never took the vows. I chuckle, rubbing away the tears. I look back up towards him and laugh as I realise I'm taking life advice from a talking wolf, while simultaneously assuring both of us that I'm not taken. He smiles back while reaching up to my cheek. With one finger he gently rubs it, clearing a single stray tear that I missed. Panic begins to take hold of me as the very same finger ventures towards my eye, claw glistening in the faint light, but I manage to rein my fear. Rannoch picks up a loose eyelash and presents it to me with a smile. Not even knowing why, I just make a wish and blow it away. The wolf blinks in astonishment and then smiles.
What was that?
I don't know. It's just something I felt like doing. Rannoch smiles.
See? You've got a good compass.
Indeed. And if it's all but a dream, then I don't mind if it lasts a little while longer. There we go. That was a long recording. That's the end of part 1 of Far Beyond the World. And I don't know how often the updates will be coming out, but I will be doing them as they come out publicly. There may be patron updates. So if you're familiar with the way I do things, you'll know I don't do patron updates. Once they're out for everyone to read, then I'll be doing the videos. And here we go. Here's some information for you. So Kale Tiger's the illustrator and the writer. I love when people can do everything. Wish I could. Anyway, there's Twitter there, and you can also support on Patreon. And you can download the game from itch as well. Everything will be right in the description as usual. So if you want to check it out, I suggest you do check this out. You can go there, and if you have the spare cash, maybe throw some of it at Kale Tiger and help this one out. And I'm going to make myself a cup of tea after that now. So thanks for watching. Until next time, bye for now.